Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Good morning.
Oh, that goes. Okay. Good morning. Oh, okay. We'll keep it moving. Good morning. My name is John Carvelli, and I would like to welcome you all to the California State Athletic Commission public meeting of Tuesday, October 18th. Maybe we can try now.
They need to turn off the other mics, because that'll give feedback.
Is that my?
No.
You want this one? It's off.
Hello. Okay, thank you. Maybe try that down there. Meeting of Tuesday, October 18th, 2016. First order of business is we'll officially call the meeting to order. Mr. Foster, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Fryerson, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir? Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Foster, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Carvelli,
Here.
Vice Chairman Lehman,
Here.
Commissioner Fryerson,
Here.
Commissioner Senior-Quinez,
Here.
Commissioner Souter,
Here.
Dr. and Commissioner Williams,
Here.
Commissioner Aiello.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
We have a quorum and a full commission. It's good to see you all. It's been several months. Welcome again, folks. It's good to see Commissioner Fryerson looking great and handsome as usual.
Thank you.
Keep going, keep going. Put some weight back on too, would you?
No.
Oh, no? Okay. Also want to acknowledge, and I know he's getting better. I traded some communications with Dr. Wallace, who was very ill this past several months. So somebody, whoever sees him next, tell him we spoke about him in public and wish him all the best. And we look forward to seeing him back ringside very soon. It's been several months since we've been together. Of course, the Olympics has come and gone, and that was an interesting, from a fight industry standpoint. In other personal news, Executive Officer Andy Foster added a baby, Annabelle, to his family, so congratulations to you. Whoever else had a baby, got married, or did something great, congratulations to you all as well. We also can congratulate ourselves. Maybe you've seen some information. Andy attended, on behalf of the commission, the NABF convention in Washington, D.C. over the summer, where they decided to award not only Andy as Executive Officer of the Year, but this commission as Commission of the Year. So we can congratulate ourselves for that. And we also want to take a minute to remember those fighters who have suffered over the past several months some serious injuries, including the unfortunate passing of Mike Towell. So maybe a moment of silence, if we could, for all those fighters who put themselves at risk, and particularly Mr. Towell. Thank you. Thank you all. We'll move on to agenda item number 3, which will be approval of the July 12, 2016 Commission meeting minutes. Mr. Foster.
Mr. Chairman, I have one correction on report on the Academy of Neurology Conference, and then on the next page, on the upcoming event schedule, number 7 should be ABC, as in Association of Boxing Commissions, not ABA.
Okay.
Let's see.
Page 7.
Page 7.
Page 7.
Page 7, Cedar Sinai should be.
That's a classic. It was supposed to read Cedars Sinai Hospital. It says Cedar Cyanide. So we're going to correct that.
It's pathetic.
Spell check. Any other changes, Mr. Foster?
Not that I can find, sir.
Commissioners?
I have just one,
Commissioner Shinakitis?
yeah, I have one typo on page 5. Under the small 3, subparagraph 2, instead of rows, it should just say raised concerns. That's it.
You have it?
Yep.
Other commissioners? Comments on the minutes? Then we'll invite anyone from the public to come and be recognized, state your name, and welcome to comment on the meeting minutes. Yes, sir.
My name is Greg Patchell.
Do we have sir, do you need a mic or want to stand anywhere? You good? You good there? Okay.
Okay, yeah, last minutes, the meetings, I heard Mr. Frierson speak, that he said he was on the commission for 10 years.
No, so we're going to comment on the minutes. You'll have other opportunities to comment on other items, okay?
That was
So
on
let's stick to the minutes.
commission meeting.
Was that a commission meeting?
It was
I don't
last
know if that's
commission meeting.
mentioned in these minutes, though.
I mean, I watched it on the webcast, that's why I'm here today.
Okay. Okay, you have,
Is it okay?
you have your 3 minutes.
Okay, we got this business and profession codes. Okay, Mr. Frierson commented, he said he was on the commission for 10 years. If you do the math, he's been on since 2001, that is 15 years. And in the business and profession codes, states right here, members of the commission shall be appointed for a 4-year term. Now, that's way over 4 years. So Terry's been on the commission longer than 4 years. So why is that?
You get to comment, we're not responding.
Oh, you're not going to respond to that?
No.
Okay, yeah, I'd also like to say that Frierson's recommended Andy Foster to get a raise and to be on the commission. Well, I had to go to Senator Isidore Hall to get this email. It was Sarah Lee Wackley's email.
Let me stop you there,
invested.
if you don't mind. I'm going to give you your time, but I know that's not in the minutes, is it?
That was too. He was commenting on giving Andy Foster a raise and keeping him as a commissioner.
Is that in the minutes, Andy, somewhere?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
It says, oh, in the latest CSA scandal, one of the commissioners was let go this week, and apparently investigators discovered $100,000 was missing from the neurological fund. Now, how much money goes missing is beyond me. Not to mention the heck does how anybody know where the money is. No one knows where the $100,000 in neurological fund is. And since 1998, you guys haven't been doing no neurological testings ever since that Draka fighter died. So how can he get appointed and get a raise when $100,000 is missing?
You have a minute and a half.
Okay, that's just one point.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public on the approval of the meeting minutes of July 12th? Seeing none, Mr. Foster, will call for the vote, please.
Chairman Carvelli,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Lehman,
Aye.
Commissioner Frierson,
Aye.
Commissioner Senior Kivez,
Aye.
Commissioner Sauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Aiello.
Aye.
7-0, sir.
Thank you. Agenda item number 4. A, Business and Professions Code Section 18640.5 requires the Commission to invite stakeholder testimony at Commission meetings in order to identify actions that may lead to greater opportunities for licensees to participate in major professional boxing contests. So, we take our responsibilities seriously, and under this DMP code, we had a discussion with staff, and we had some recommendations and looked around at some of the folks in our industry who have gone out of their way to focus here in California and to bring big exciting fights and fights in general. And we're going to talk more about that, but under item number B, or letter B, sorry, we have for this year we're going to recognize K2 Promotions, and I know they're here. If they could kind of come forward for providing greater opportunities for CSAC licensees to participate in major professional boxing events and help us to achieve our goals. Andy, perhaps you'd like to read the 2 paragraphs in your memo under item 4. Would you guys come on up?
Mr. Chairman, my memo says K2 Promotions, a Los Angeles-based boxing promoter licensed by the California Athletic Commission, promotes many high-profile boxers, including current and former champions, Italian Vladimir Klitschko, Gennady Golovkin, and Chocolatito Roman Gonzalez. K2 Promotions frequently and repeatedly holds major boxing events in the Los Angeles area that are televised worldwide and have brought credit to the state while making a positive economic impact to the California economy. These events have allowed greater opportunities for California licensees to participate in major professional boxing contests in California. Just in the past 2 years, K2 Promotions has promoted Golovkin versus Rubio at the Step Up Center in Carson, Golovkin versus Monroe Jr., Golovkin versus Wade, and Gonzalez versus Quadros, all at the Fabulous Forum in Inglewood. One example of the positive impact of the California economy is ticket sales alone for these events generated approximately $3 million. Additional revenues are generated from television contracts, commissions, and promotional items. Perhaps it is most important that K2 Promotions has demonstrated a commitment to California boxing fans, the best in the world, and we know that they are planning to hold many more events in California. According and to show our CSAC's appreciation to K2 Promotions for holding their events in California in the spirits of Business and Professions Code 18640.5, Chairman Carvelli has requested that the Commission recognize K2.
And we have with us Tom Loeffler, Erica St. Phillips of K2 Promotions. Guys, come on up here. On stage. We're going to take some pictures and give you a couple of certificates of appreciation. So, good to see you, Tom.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for coming.
Thank you.
Hi, Erica. Good to see
Pleasure
you.
to see you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we can. Maybe we can start with this one.
Thank you.
You guys will snap some shots.
Thank you so
Start with
much.
Andy. Yeah, say hello to everybody.
Thank you very much.
You want to start with this one?
Thank you so much.
We'll fix Andy's collar.
Yeah,
We'll explain what you have there. So,
this is the certificate of appreciation.
if anybody wants to get in pictures,
It's got our logo. We created it for us. This is from the.
Thank you, Andy.
John, get a little closer. Right here. Now you gotta get the way.
Okay, ready?
1, 2, 3.
One more fun, hold on.
so don't go away. We have 3 certificates for you. This one's from the administration, the governor, and the agency, as you can see. So that's for you to take, and then hopefully you'll be impressed with this, with the slick frame.
Oh, nice.
This is from the California State Assembly. We have assistance from several folks in the Speaker's office and others to present this to you. So,
Lovely,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
absolutely lovely.
I didn't poke you with it.
No, more
You guys,
pictures.
anybody want to get any pictures? Come on.
John, get right here.
Assembly member Bontas.
Get back in
Yeah,
there.
right here.
Assembly
and
member Bontas.
Assembly member Bonta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, right here.
Rob Bonta.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Over here now. One more. All right.
There is another certificate. It's from the Senate. It'll have a red border. It'll look just like this. Commissioner Ayala assisted us in getting that, but of course, it's not here.
Sounds right.
So soon you will have it,
I look forward to that.
and it'll be great. And so let's take a minute why don't you come sit down and then give a chance to the commissioners to make any comments they'd like. Thank you very much.
Would you like us off the stage to?
Yeah, maybe you'd like to,
Thank you.
Could I, John,
Thank
could I
you.
say a few
yeah, I
words?
want you to come sit down here.
Oh, John, okay.
Yeah, please. We want you to, absolutely.
Thank you all so much. Yeah,
Indeed.
it's a very big honor. Thank you.
So just, give your name and K2 and tell us anything. Maybe the commissioners have some comments they'd like to.
Thank you.
Do you have a mic for them?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Just wanted to thank the commission. It's been an honor promoting
Tom
shows.
Loeffler, you're being recorded.
Oh, okay. My name is Tom Loeffler, K2 Promotions. I'm also here with Erica St. Philip, who's actually we've been working together since the first show we promoted in California. We did the very first show for K2 Promotions at the Staples Center, 2004. Was Vitaly Klitschko against Corey Sanders for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. And since then, that was 12 years ago, and I gotta say, now with Triple G fighting here in California, we're happy to have, we broke the sales record at the StubHub Center, and 3 shows in the Forum, so I think he's kind of revitalized, or just bringing the high-profile fights to California. He trains in Big Bear, California with Abel Sanchez. He lives in Santa Monica, so he's a resident of California. And he's very proud to fight here, and we're proud to present his fights, as well as Chocolatito Gonzalez, who had his first headline show at the Forum. So we really appreciate all the support from the California Commission, definitely from Andy Foster, the executive director. He's made it very, I'd say, a very good working relationship, and is very conducive to staging shows here, from the officials, top flight officials that the state of California has, to the doctors, and again, on a reflection of the whole commission. Mark Relier is always very helpful as well. So we just wanted to thank you for all the help and the support for the shows.
Commissioners, Martha? Here. Here, just.
This one? Yeah. So when Chairman Carvelli and I were first appointed to the commission, we met with K2, with Tom, and asked, what can we do to bring you back to California? And frankly, I think we were a very different commission at the time. And it wasn't just K2, there were some other stakeholders who basically said, we kind of don't like you guys. And we set out to change a lot of things, and Andy Foster is a big reason why this commission is different. And the commissioners, also, this board, this commission is also a big reason why we are very different than we used to be. But we set out to change things, and we asked K2 to give us another chance. Actually, flew to New York to try and convince K2 to give us another chance. And we got very lucky, and we're very thankful that they did give us another chance. And hopefully we can continue to show the stakeholders that we are a state that welcomes the big events and welcomes the stakeholders, and we will try and continue to do the best that we can and improve with every event.
Great, thank you. Martha flew to New York, not me. She. Dr. Williams?
I just want to say, first of all, thanks for wearing the hat. Thanks for the California.
I did it for you guys. We gotta get the bear in here.
But I just want to say I'm very grateful personally, and I'm sure the state is very grateful for having you as a partner in promoting these kinds of events, because we are California, as you had well states. And I think our people are very deserving of having these types of events. We have a population, we have the resources, so thank you for being a partner, and hopefully we can continue working together in the near future. Thanks.
Thank you.
Vice Chair?
Yes. Thank you again for all your great work. I've been to the fights, and they're well run, they're super entertaining, great cards, obviously a perfect partnership here. And thank you also for from the people and the fans here in California. You know, we have a boxing heritage and a great fan base, and so that's appreciated, you know, through the whole level of every person in California. And I'd just like to reemphasize that we would appreciate continue to work with us, suggestions that we can continue to excel in bringing great fights and great promotions such as you here and the fights you bring to California. And we really appreciate the opportunity and the communication, and thank you again, and we look forward to more great fights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ferguson?
Well, let me say this.
Say it for both of us, John.
It's been a long time since we get somebody of your caliber here. I've been on this board for many years, 10 years now, and you're the best, and we really are. Even almost as good as Roy.
Thank you, John.
The only thing I can say is that I think this is a marvelous event because I hope it's indicative of the commission under our capable chairman of celebrating our promoters and producers. Not only do we need to support them in the context of their business endeavors, but I think we need to stand up and say we appreciate them dealing with the complexities of California, which are not inconsequential, and bringing events here to the people of California and revenue to the state. But I hope we continue to grow as a commission while very conscious of our civic responsibilities here, but also being prepared to celebrate those who celebrate the sport through the quality of their promotions and the frequency of their promotions.
Thank you.
So before we wrap up, here's an opportunity for members of the public, and I see some of you that I hope will come up and have something to say to Tom and to Erica. So please come on up. Come on, Jack, I see you smiling. Come on, Louis. Come up and say hello and thanks. Come on, you guys. Come on. Maxie, come on. Tommy, come on.
Well, I'm not going to speak for every official. Tom Taylor.
Introduce yourself.
Tom Taylor.
You don't have to look into the camera, guys.
Ring official Tom Taylor. Hey, I worked the last event with you guys at the forum with the Chocolito fight, and talk about an easy promotion to work with. You guys were more than accommodating. Took really good care of us. The show was seamless. No worries at all. We could focus on just doing our pre-fight instructions, making sure that ring was ready, and getting ready for the fight. So on an official side, it took away a lot of that little stress every once in a while that we have at some other shows. And your professionalism is outstanding, so we really appreciate it. And I thank you for your bringing these fights to California.
May
We
I say
appreciate it.
something?
Of course. Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to say thank you to you for your professionalism in your rules meeting, being so precise and thorough with all the languages and taking the time so that everybody understood clearly the rules. Very professional, elevates the sport, and we thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
Louis Perry, Inspector for State of California. I want to thank you also for bringing your business to Los Angeles. We have good leadership in the State Athletic Commission. We really do. Andy Foster's an incredible leader. The commission, incredible commission. And one of our most important goals is to make every promoter's experience in the California a rewarding one, so you'll continue to come back. And that's why we're known for being the #1 athletic commission, not just in the United States, but in the world. We're the busiest, and we take pride in that. And our main guy, Andy Foster, every day tells us, go out and make sure that the promoters have a great experience. So I look forward to continue working with you and every time to be the best that we could be to make you guys happy and continue bringing your shows back to Los Angeles.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. We definitely second that on Andy Foster. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Max Luca, Judge California. I just want to thank K2 Promotions and when you work with the best commission in the world and the best promoter in the world, things are easy for us officials, so thank you.
Thank you, Max. We appreciate you. Jack,
Guys, I'm gonna get a picture of you, would you mind?
it would be nice. I think the last one was in Germany many years ago.
I think so. And I didn't mean to not get other pictures, it just occurred to me to get a picture. If anybody else wants one,
He photographs better than us.
we can take one.
Well, I just wanted to say a couple things. I looked around and I realized I'm like probably the senior official here. It's scary because I still think I'm 21. But Max and I came on together and we've seen him come and we've seen him go. And I want to first start out, and Commissioner Van Satter can tell you, we've had some commissions that were ineffective. They were kind of locked up and couldn't get stuff done. And this commission, Andy Foster, by far, under the direction of this commission, has taken us further than we've ever been. It's just unbelievable. These commission meetings used to be filled with people coming up and complaining. It would take hours to get through the public comment, and that's, other than one public comment today, it's non-existent. As far as K2 goes, I love working for you guys. I want to reiterate some stuff that Tom said. It's just a pleasure. There's no stress, there's no hassle, there's no drama. You guys tell us what you want, you tell us where to be, everything's laid out. Erica, amazing when it comes to all kinds of reservations, whether it's air reservations, hotel, everything's laid out, and it makes our job so much easier because, like Tom said, we just get in the ring and concentrate on the 2 lives that we have ahead of us. So I personally hope that you bring 1,000 more fights here real soon. So thank you guys very much, and boss and commission, thank you guys.
Anyone else is welcome to comment here? I want to also thank Roy, as usual, for being such a great kind of ex officio commissioner / promoter / just huge fan of this industry and expert. And so thank you for working with us on this. We'll really appreciate it. Yes, sir. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Louis Kovian, State Athletic Commission MMA ring official. I want to welcome you to the state of California. We work together. We've been working so many years, and please feel welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Andy, do you have anything else you want to add? No, sir. Okay, and then so if you have anything else, we can.
I just wanted to add on what you had said, John, as far as Roy's also been an integral part of a lot of the promotions that we've done. Always very detail oriented and a lot of experience there in California, so we appreciate his help with that. And again, just as Martha had alluded to, there was a gap where we hadn't promoted for a while in California, so we really appreciate Andy Foster coming and just making it very conducive to doing shows and business here in California. And again, with the commission's support, it definitely is a great working relationship.
Thank you very much. And then a final comment, as chair, I get to do that. So I'm a business guy, and I recognize quality folks when I see them. You guys are a business, and you're a quality business because of quality people of integrity and professionalism. So these recognitions do not come lightly. They're not things you can go hand and get signed. So you've been vetted by the California government. So congratulations, and please keep them coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Agenda item, we'll get you that Senate certificate. I'm sure Andy will give it to you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5, Executive Officer's Report. Mr. Foster.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we'll begin with the budget update. Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, the CalSTARS report did not come in, so should be in today. So I will have you updated numbers by the end of the week. But through 2 months of fiscal year 16-17, the commission has deposited $292,147 according to the last CalSTARS report, and spent $178,453. The commission's fund balance currently stands at $1,159,624. Just on the budget side, had a little bit slower July and August, just a touch. We have upcoming fall months, specifically December, that's going to more than make up for that. We have several major shows coming in December. Anyone have any questions on the budget?
Commissioners?
Did you say someone is coming from the budget office next meeting, right?
Yes, ma'am, at the December meeting.
So we'll be able to ask all the pro rata questions.
Yes. I'm certainly here to answer any questions, but if you don't have
Our
any.
fund is healthy.
Our fund is healthy.
So, yeah.
They're very healthy. Revenues are greatly exceeding expenses. I think we're in good shape.
We'll live another day. Thank you. As chairman? Chair?
I think it was perhaps in the memo you sent out, and it was like a percentage or comparison of our fund and how much better we're doing than before. What our
That was the last, we had it in the last.
was that the last memo you sent out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, maybe just reiterate those numbers.
Yeah, in fiscal year 15-16, the commission had a record year for revenue, at least as far as the records go back. The 1930s were a different entity for the commission, and I saw some numbers from them, but for the records as far back as the DCA has it, which is 10 years, it was a record year. And I don't have to reiterate this commission. In 2011-12, the commission closed the year with $23,000 in fund. We now have $1,250,000. So that's better. Yeah, it was a record year, and hopefully, our appropriations went up this year, which means we have to bring in more. Well, last year we brought in $1 million, if memory serves, $1,916,000, and we spent $1,471,000.
Any other questions on the budget? Neurological fund?
Okay. So the neurological fund began the year with $621,000 in the account, and I really don't see that changing as of right now. Except this week we did get the contract approved, and I don't know at what point the check gets issued from the comptroller once that contract is approved. But very shortly, that will take a substantial decrease based on the appropriation.
You're referring to the contract with
C3 Logic.
C3. You want to explain that to the public? We know, but.
Yeah, the C3 Logic Concussion Management Program that the commission's implementing.
And this year we went through the regulations to make sure that the money can be spent appropriately for that.
That's correct.
A lot of work has gone into that, and you want to maybe explain that just a bit?
Correct. We got an interpretation from the DCA, a budget and legal office, that we could spend the full appropriation on the C3 Logic program. Once we got that, we proceeded to work with Frank at C3 Logics. Dr. Williams worked very closely on getting it set up with making those introductions and telling us about the project. And then once we got it, then we used the neurological fund money. I met with the Department of Technology. this had to go through a very lengthy contractual process. Lots of people had to look at it. But the end of the story is that the department worked very closely with us, and we got it done. And it got done Tuesday of last week.
So we have all required approvals now to proceed with the actual program, the C3 budget.
That's correct, and we should be taking delivery in a couple weeks.
And I think you're going to talk a little bit more about that detail soon. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
The budget on the neurological fund, the appropriation for 16, 17, $61,000. It's broken down. The breakdowns in your chart. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions, commissioners?
So with your permission, I'll move on with my report, the pension fund update.
Pension fund, let's do it.
I provided a chart so you can see the pension distributions year to date. Commissioner Lehman and Nayella and I worked on the strategies to increase this number. We in fact just got another one this week. Hopefully by the next commission, well, without doubt, by the next commission meeting, we'll see this bar graph continue to increase. It's my hope that we set a record.
I think we're going to address that as well, right?
Yep. The pension fund has an appropriation of $109,000. Last year we spent $106,189. Those are cost of pension fund. Just so everyone understands, the pension fund has basically two accounts. Okay? There's the account that sits at the department that they help us oversee, and that's the account that distributes the money. Okay? That account is where the administration goes. And the reason I'm going into this detail is because that account is what you're looking at the appropriation. Okay? It's that account. The investment account is an entirely different thing, where the money goes when we're not needing it to distribute. It grows in the investment account. And in fact, just last week I wrote a policy to expedite transferring money from the checking account to the investment account. Certainly, we already know how to transfer the money from the investment account to the checking account, because we do that all the time. I mean, like this year, I transferred $50,000 to facilitate distribution. The reason I wanted to share this with you is, you see those prior ending balances, and it looks like we're going to wind up negative by 18, 19. And that's not the case, because this checking account works differently than other state funds. Okay, I just wanted to bring that to your attention. We're not going broke. The investment account currently has $5,199,886.13. So almost $5.2 million.
There'll be a subcommittee update and another agenda item.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sophia, do you want to do the regulation update?
Sure.
Commissioners, you all know Ms. Sophia Conejo, she's Assistant Executive Officer. She'll be giving a regulation update.
Hi, Sophia.
Hi. So headgear, the emergency regulation was due to expire in October. We readopted that emergency regulation to give us more time to complete the regular rulemaking file. So now we have until January 17th. That package is already at the Department of Consumer Affairs under review, which is one of the final steps before it goes to the Office of Administrative Law. Examination of boxer applicants and neurological assessment. The file was published by the Office of Administrative Law on August 12th, and a public hearing was held on September 26th. We did not have any public comments on that package. I plan to submit the final rulemaking file by the end of October. Payment to contestants was also published August 12th. Public hearing was September 26th. We did not receive any comments on that. We plan to file that with the department by the end of the month as well. Weighing time for physical examinations and dehydration and rehydration, that was published July 29th, and the public hearing was held September 12th. That also will be submitted by the end of October.
Did you receive any public comments? Do you know?
No.
None?
Can I make a suggestion? I really like these flow charts that you're doing with the blue and the red, because it really helps us track it. But I noticed that the last blue one, it's technically not submitted, although it's going to be. And so if we could not make it blue until it's actually done, because in our meetings, it helps me track the process.
Yes.
I understand you didn't put a date, so it's kind of like, it hasn't really happened, but it's going to happen this month, but it would just...
I think it was blue because I planned to have it done, when I did this, I had planned to have it submitted before the meeting. That didn't happen.
We've kept you awfully busy.
But yes,
that way
that
it
should
shows
be
us
right.
progress with our,
Right.
our meeting.
And the last package, definitions, prohibited substances and methods, and TUEs and transgender athletes. That is done.
Wow.
Yes. And
3
will
years
be.
of work here for these folks?
Say that again.
Is it 3 or is it 4?
Since I've been here.
Since
So
I've been
I
here,
think,
too.
I think, and I've been here over 3 years, so, and you guys have already been working on it. So. It will be effective January 1st, 2017.
Wow.
Interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Right.
Well, good. Congratulations on all that good work. And then
Hard work.
Any questions?
thank you.
Commissioners, before we move on, just bring this just to your attention. This examination of Brochure excellence and neurological assessments is far in the process. And the reason I bring this to your attention is it will go hand in hand with the C3 Logics program that we're talking about later. So just know when we're talking about this, if this one's almost done, which goes hand in hand with the audit recommendation to avoid use of underground regs for neurological assessment. So I thought it was worthy of pointing that out.
We should probably put that in here too somewhere, right? Into this little blue-red thingy.
Chart.
So the flow chart?
Oh, I can add neurological assessment to the title, yeah, because it.
Well, it's on the, I'm sorry, you meant like the C3 logic?
Because it kind of had to go through that whole process, right?
Yeah, it's done. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'll move on.
Yes, please.
Delegated entities. Mr. Chairman, the first delegated entity is California Amateur Mixed Martial Arts Organization. I'll ask JP Steele to come forward.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
Welcome, JT.
I provided you quite a thorough report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Finger pokes to the eyes.
Finger pokes to the eye. We've actually had great success with that. We had no injuries due to pokes to the eye last year, and that's something that I work with on the Indian, with the Indian Big John McCarthy, and we had tremendous success, and we've rolled it out nationwide now. So.
Generally, how's the year going, maybe compared to last year, and what do you look forward to next year?
Different year. We're seeing a lot of consolidation in our industry right now where we're having less events, but our promoters are having larger, more successful shows.
Promotion consolidation?
Yes. So the promoters that come and go, those are often challenging shows to work because first-time promoters, people who maybe really shouldn't be doing this and they want to try it. We have less than those than we used to generally, but our promoters who are established are doing well. They're having more athletes on their cards, So it's a consolidation time right now in amateur mixed martial arts, and it's been an interesting evolution. I think it's going to continue to change and grow over the years. And after all, amateur MMA is quite new. We're only talking about a sport, at least in California, and pretty much around the country, that's really only been around for maybe 9 years. So, growth pattern.
I know that you're working with John and the Concussion folks, and I attended an event this summer in Orange County. It was very good.
Oh, good.
Really impressed.
Good. We actually, John and I are working together next weekend in Sacramento. So it's been good. John's great to work with, and just this last week we've been able to coordinate and try to get the right medical staff there, because doctors are the ringside positions are very limited. So we have to work together in those type of situations to make sure that we get the kids covered. We have a doctor that can stick around and work with the adults too.
And you two didn't think you could get along, see?
John and I are good friends.
Very good.
Oh yeah, we have AB 2007, obviously. That should
Explain what AB 2007 is, please.
AB 2007 is essentially a new regulation here in California, law in California, that what it'll do is it requires any type of sports activity. It goes beyond combative sports. In fact, it really doesn't specifically address MMA, but it addresses youth sports. So anyone under the age of 18 years old, if they are engaged in competition where they receive some type of an injury where there's a potential that they might have a concussion, they have to stop competing immediately, and they can't return to competition until they've been examined by a qualified medical professional. Camo, all of our participants are 18 years of age or older. Nevertheless, we feel, along with Executive Officer Andy Foster, the most prudent thing to do is, even though this doesn't affect us, is that it's good practice, and we are going to be implementing this in the CAMO program, which it also requires that people work, coaches and athletes. Coaches for athletes are also receiving training to recognize concussion syndromes and so forth. So that type of training is being is made available online through the CDC, and we're going to impose that on all of our working officials effective immediately. That goes out this week. So anytime we have renewals with our officials, they will be required to have concussion training. We have...
And, excuse me, JT, so commissioners, at the back of the CAMO memo, item number 21, you spell out the AB 2007 implementation so we can see. Yes, please go ahead.
Great. So for our working officials, our inspectors, and for our referees, we are going to have the concussion testing. As far as corners, where we're working with thousands of licensees, we hope to have a plan in place by April, by which we might, what we're looking at is making it so when taking our corners who are currently licensed at events, it's the only paper license that we offer. We're looking at making a digital database, a digital license, and part of that license process is you have to have the CDC training. It's going to take some money, it's going to take some development, but probably the only way that we can reach that group of stakeholders efficiently. So we hope to have some type of a technological plan in place, development plan by April. It's a big project, but I think it's worth trying to tackle it in a way that isn't something that is a Band-Aid, but something that we can do that's sustainable moving forward in the future.
Excellent.
Commissioners, Commissioner Vice Chair.
I guess the only thing is we haven't heard from John Frank with Concussion yet, but it sounds like something that perhaps you guys could work together with on the
Come on up, John.
digital
I'd like to acknowledge John Frank. He was ahead of the curve on this. In fact, he brought it to our attention the CDC training that was available, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already out there. And really, I think we all owe a thank you to John for being so ahead of the curve. He was aware of this legislation coming down. I think he's doing a great job protecting the kids. Any other questions, Jeff or Camo?
Commissioners?
I gave you a little bit more information on injury reports this year with some statistical analysis of a breakdown of TKOs and KOs. I think those are statistics that really we should be proud of. It's a very low knockout percentage. I think one of the main factors in that is that we're very lucky to have such wonderful officials in the state of California. They do a great job of protecting the amateur fighters.
Yeah, I mean, for the record, and you and John and Roy was involved. I mean, that event I attended in Orange County was in July, I think it was. I mean, very impressive. No difference as far as I can tell between the professional.
It is
the size of the competitors.
And hats off to our officials for always being willing to continue to work in the amateurs. The officials that we have working the amateur events in the state of California are officials that professional athletes in other states really maybe never have the opportunity to work with officials like that. We see them every weekend in California with the amateur athletes, so it's we have a great state.
Thank you. Thanks, JT.
You're welcome.
I had a question for John.
You'll get a comment right at the end of this.
Well, we didn't comment on the neurological.
Please don't interrupt. You'll get a comment at the end of the executive officer report.
I didn't get a comment on the
If you
neurological
disrupt
or
this meeting,
pension.
I will have you removed from this meeting.
I didn't get a comment on the
You will
neurological and
get
pension.
a chance to respond at the end of his report after this agenda item. Mr. Foster.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Martino was unable to attend this time. His report is certainly in your packet. Of note, we've spent considerable time talking about implementation of Assembly Bill 2007. And again, I don't want to be duplicative, but John Frank was really, when we got on these calls and we started talking about it, John Frank had already been doing this for a while. And he showed me exactly where it was. I took my certificate, I did it, it's easy, and showed it to Mike. And in fact, it's my understanding, USA Boxing is not just implementing this in California, they're implementing it nationwide. But he regrets he can't be here, try to make the next one, but his report's in there. Then we have John Frank.
Hey, John.
USFL. Good morning, John Frank, United States Fight League. I also submitted a report that hopefully you guys got from steroid vets from the last meeting, and then our plan on how to implement Assembly Bill 2007. If you have any questions.
Thanks for the report, John. Thanks for same to you. Great event. Thanks for the implementation and awareness on 2007. Commissioners? Thanks, sir.
I guess the question was, JT with Camel talked about having a digital database for people who have gone through the training. And obviously there's a cost involved, but the upside and the safety is super important. Is it possible for you guys to work together on that? Because that sounds like it would be very important for USFL too.
We actually have something that's being developed now. We've been working on it for almost a year. A team that's developing a technology that'll make this kind of seamless process. Right now we don't have a lot of athletes, a lot of coaches, but we're anticipating the sport inevitably is going to grow. And with all the reporting requirements that we have, it's difficult at our level. So our coaches have to have criminal backgrounds. They already do an online exam, and they also do the concussion training. And then to tie it all together, it's difficult with paper. So we have a digital system now, but we're developing something that hopefully will be seamless. And it would be able to work with other sports organizations as well. They can use it as much as they want or as little as they want. But I think it's important to have a system that works with all the sports, so the officials or the coaches, a lot of them do coach adults, they coach other sports. They don't have to go through the certification once. So they have to do it for each different sport. I know like right now, for instance, for backgrounds, if you're a coach for USA Boxing, USA Wrestling, USFL, you take the background 3 times from the same organization. They don't share the data. Even though it's the same company, So we want to try to, I don't know if that can be prevented, but we want to prevent, the additional training for things like this that we can control, these other certifications. So hopefully early next year we may have a prototype to roll out, and they're going to test it on us, and if it works good, they'd like to offer it to everybody else.
Great.
Can I just make one comment? But do you guys have any method by which you'll be able to verify that the person who shows up with the certificate of having completed the training actually did the training?
Right, so right now we have to pre-register our coaches and athletes. It's difficult to do it the day of because again, they have to take a background test and these other exams. So we have them in a digital database, and once they apply for their license, I manually check that they've taken their coaching exam, and then I check their background exam, and then we have them either email me the certificate of completion or they upload it in their database on their profile. So I check those three things, and we haven't made the concussion training mandatory yet. It'll be mandatory for everybody on January 1st, but we've been offering it for about 6 or 7 months now. But obviously it's going to be mandatory on January 1st, and there's two ways. Either they upload it on the profile and I'll check it when their licensing comes in, or they email it to me and I upload it on their profile manually. It's a lot of labor to do this right now, but we're still a small organization, but we hope to have something that'll be fully automated where we just do quality control work for these licenses.
And this is an issue that's unique to your organization, but we've come across this in the past with respect to these kinds of certifications, where in theory, I could sit down and enter 5 or 10 names and spit out certificates, and it doesn't mean that those people actually did the training. And again, this is not, I think it's great, I applaud you for what you guys have done, but this is just the nature of the beast with some of these online training programs like that.
What about those, those mobile registration services that they have? You can use them for even kids getting on buses or, logging in for work. They have them for like Apple phones and iPads, things like that. Have you thought about those?
That's exactly what they're trying to develop for us, something that can be used on a smartphone, a tablet. It can be, for instance, a check-in process. You wouldn't need any technology. You can use a tablet or a smartphone, and so it'll work everywhere. The one caveat is probably internet access, for where these events are.
Commissioners, anything else for Mr. Frank? Okay.
Just one thing I wanted to add. I'd like to thank JT and Steve for one of the difficulties that we have, and it may become more of a difficulty as the sport grows, is finding doctors to support these events. And I know both Steve and JT have been helping me with that. But it's still a polarizing sport. A lot of people don't really understand what it is, and we've had doctors refuse to be part of it. We've had primary care physicians not give annual physicals because they don't believe their kids should be doing it. So it's a long road ahead to hopefully we can educate people that it's not what they think it is. It's not the UFC. It's you have a lot of safety precautions, and kids actually have pretty good character traits. But until then, we still have this difficulty in getting doctors to support these events. I don't know if anybody has suggestions or anything we can do to reach out to physicians a little more.
I'm sure you're working with Andy on this.
Yes.
That's why I call and say, you got your doctor. We can't hear you.
Yeah, John called me last week, and it's like just reiterate what he said, is I get calls from these guys all the time, hey, you got a doctor? Well, I called him, and he found a doctor for John, because I didn't have any. But we basically all share the same pool of physicians. I mean, there's certainly quite a few professional physicians that don't do the amateurs, but the amateur physicians are often very much trying to get to the pro level. And we picked up one up north, but anyway, that's what we did. We do it a lot.
Is this being addressed at the MAC? Have you guys, Dr. Williams, you talked about this?
We have, but I think it's a great question, an issue for us to take up. How can we kind of encourage other physician organizations, maybe work through some of the state specialty organizations or that kind of thing? I've got a couple of ideas, but we should bring that up to make sure it's on the next magazine.
Can I ask a question? What would it take to either fund or somehow, I don't even know how to get a medical school or to do, say, a rotation through, for like sports medicine, do some sort of rotation through our events, through like do a residency rotation or some sort of internship or some sort of program, maybe a clinical program, or you know what I mean, like have young doctors or maybe a senior residence or something like that,
Yeah,
even just for
they
the
would probably
weigh-ins.
have to do a rotation with a current ringside physician, and as part of that rotation, have some exposure to covering an event. I don't know how they could do something separate that was just specific to covering events.
Even just for the weigh-ins, because sometimes we have problems at the weigh-ins because that's the one that they have to take time off work on a Friday or whatever it is. Sometimes it's a lot easier on a Saturday because they don't have office hours. So, and the weigh-ins, they will be able to spend more time doing the weigh-in physicals, and those are the ones they like to blow through, or they're always late or whatever. So even if it's that one, it's not at, it's I don't know, something like that. Even if we have to get like a foundation to fund it or something like that, maybe we can think about something like that, right, for a grant or something like that. I'm just thinking outside the box.
Certainly can explore this with the American College of Sports Medicine. I was on the phone with them on Tuesday morning. They're the ones that developed the ringside physician exam. It's able to be taken over 1,000 places nationwide. So I can talk with him about it.
And when will the next MAC meeting be? We're thinking December.
Yeah, we're looking at early December, sir.
So we'll meet after that as a commission after the next MAC meeting?
That's correct.
Maybe we'll work with Dr. Williams and bring it up there and then bring it back to us. Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, gentlemen.
And finally, sir, we have Steve Fossum from
Hey,
the
Steve,
IDA.
come on up, please.
Good morning, everybody. Steve Fossum with the International Kickboxing Muay Thai Federation.
Good morning. Good morning.
Your report I gave you for this commission meeting is rather brief, to the point. Sometimes I get to the point of being too long-winded on the reports, and sometimes I don't put enough. So if there's anything you need to know as far as that goes, please let me know. In regards to things that John and JT were just talking about, we're a great supporter of the bill, and really want to see it progress as fast as it can. If there's any problems that I can bring up that we've been facing, we all face little problems. Probably the biggest problem we've been facing is dealing with fighters that come in from other states that have appointed sanctioning bodies that oversee the kickboxing and Muay Thai, but their regulatory process is pathetic. They don't report suspensions, they don't report knockouts. They don't do any databases. In fact, I think JT with Camo and others with the IKF were the only ones in any of the states that have any kind of databases from a sanctioning body standpoint. Nevada, Oregon, Washington, all our surrounding states, especially Arizona, we are constantly encountering fighters that come in from these other states. And even with the amateur boxing that come in with the other states, as well as here in the state of California, that have suffered a knockout or a stoppage or an injury, and we know nothing about it until we have a pretty extensive background search that we do for all of our fighters for every single fight card. And we do that to search outside of the state to see where else these fighters have fought also, because there's some tournaments that happen back in the Midwest, on the East Coast, and things that, again, we don't see results. For some reason, some of these organizations feel the results are not important, I guess. I don't know, but we're having problems with finding fighters that are on a suspension or have been knocked out. So the point of getting at with this, the AD issue with the bill that we've been talking about, it's great for California. I just wish it was nationwide, because what we want to try to implement with our organization, since we're a worldwide organization as well, we've been talking with a lot of our European and Asian groups that we want to try to implement to where it's a worldwide database. And it may sound awkward to submit that for amateur, but even the pros with kickboxing and Muay Thai, there is absolutely no database other than ours for pro and amateur kickboxing. And again, on the pro side especially, we're constantly trying to find things out about pro athletes in different states or different countries that there's absolutely no follow-up. And I'm not trying to bash any of our organizations, it's just that I wonder, how come the results are not important to them? And to me, the results are the most important thing, for not only just the safety of fighters, but recognition of what they've accomplished. So, you know, in regards to that the concussion issue, I'm glad to see that California is ahead of the issue. JT and I were extremely blessed that John Frank was way out in front of this whole thing originally and gave us the insight that there's a database that they've already been working on, and John brought us involved in that. And we're going to be a part of that as much as we can, as progressively as we can, because as much as we think we're ahead of the game on safety issues, when you look at it from outside of California, we're all dealing with people that come into California to fight from other states. A lot of times we're not finding out all these things that these guys are doing. Indian reservation fights, Native American land fights, other states that are coming in from, sanctioned fights, non-sanctioned fights. There's a lot of these things where we don't see the results. We don't know what this fighter has been. Every fighter that fights on our amateur events, we have them fill out an update sheet if they're already licensed, or they fill out a license form that asks them, legally, or have there been any fights they have fought in, have they been knocked out recently, suffered any concussions, and we ourselves were a victim of finding out that people can lie on those forms. An incident that happened with us back in Florida, we had a situation, and people just, they don't want to admit they've been knocked out for whatever reason. They don't realize that what can happen after that incident has happened. We did a long report that's on our International Fight Sports site that talks about, the sudden impact syndrome. So, secondary concussions, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of issues out there. I think we're just on the beginning of it, and I'm glad to see that California is ahead of the game compared to literally every other state with even caring about concussions. And not just on the youth issue, but there's an adult issue out there too, where a lot of adult fighters are fighting and we don't know about their injuries. So with that being said, that's probably the normal issue that should be on our board right now, is in regards to thinking about things.
Great, thank you.
Commissioners, just to point out something, Dr. Williams may find this interesting. If you look at the report, the 289 bouts, 55 were stopped, KO or TKO. That's an extremely low knockout or TKO percentage. I went to one of Mr. Fawcett's events in San Francisco, check it out. One of the things you can see from what's happening here with these statistics is the refs are stopping the fights incredibly conservatively. I think that's a fair statement. And I think that's appropriate for an amateur level competition. Pros, certainly, you'll start seeing statistics double that when you get near in the pro levels. But that's the nature of the thing. But I just wanted to point that out to you if you're interested, and I know you guys are, in the health and safety aspect. That's a low number.
Vice Chair?
Yes, it sounds great. Thank you for doing such a good job in the database and on the concussion issue, and working with both CAMO and USFL. We're just thrilled. And remember, we were doing these delegations, and that was all very important to us, to have each delegation be successful and responsible, and that you work together And so, thank you. It just makes everything work better for all of us, and we appreciate that on a professional, personal level.
Thank you. And to add to that, one of the things that I know John and I have been talking about, and JT's been brought into this mix as well, we're trying to find a way to bring all of our entities together so we can all look at what's going to happen with CAMO, what's going to happen with IKF. So if JT's doing a fight card check and a medical check on a certain fighter, he can cross-reference over to see, did this guy fight in a kickboxing or Muay Thai event 2 weeks ago or a month ago? Same thing we can do with pancreation, same thing we can do with CAMO. USA Boxing, you're not in any talks with because they're the hardest to find any results of. And again, we have caught many amateur boxers that have tried to fight in Muay Thai or kickboxing that just, I didn't think that was important because we didn't get a suspension form, or I wasn't told I couldn't fight, 10 days after being knocked out, or that's, we've heard that a lot. And so again, I don't know if it's a result reporting thing, but I can go on JT's side. John, I can call if I have an issue with a fighter that knows been in pancreation, but they fill out their forms, and I can look on JT's, he has results. If there's a knockout or a stoppage, at least we know there should be at least a mandatory minimum of 30 days. So again, what we want to try to accomplish, I know John and I have been talking about, is somehow having that database to where it cross-references all of the fight sports. And again, California's way ahead of the game here, but this is something that really, from a safety issue, needs to be addressed nationwide, because there's a lot of fights that go on out there, as you guys I'm sure know, that nobody knows about, that are happening with no sanction at all.
Well, we don't know because no one knows about it.
And you see, we're agree with that wrong, but that no one knows about, because even though they might be sanctioned, again, it's that, it's the rubber stamp sanction thing. We'll give you a sanction, we'll let you have your fight, but you choose your own officials, and this is happening in other states a lot. And they don't follow up with the result. And that seems petty, but it's really important, because a lot of people, think that we're kind of, overzealous with wanting to get the details of the results in there. Well, we go down to the detail of, if a fighter doesn't even admit how many in-gym training events they've had, or smoker events and other things, we address them on it. We say, hey, that's ring experience. You need to put that down. If they leave a blank where it's MMA, or a blank where it's a pancreation question or something, we go back and address it to them. We say, hey, this is important to us because we don't want someone sandbagging that's a kickboxer or a Muay Thai fighter that's had 30 fights and goes over and fights in camo with against an 0-0 guy. Or a guy in camo has 30 or 40 fights that comes in and we do our kickboxing and fights an 0-0 guy. When we do our background checks, we try to reference all the organizations as much as we can, and we do it for Muay Thai, for kickboxing, for MMA, for boxing. We do general Google searches for that fighter all over. It takes it doesn't sound like a lot of time, but per fight card, it takes a good 20 minutes per fighter to do the full-fledged background check to make sure this guy is safe. And we've even missed them, because there's events, as I just mentioned, that are not even reported on, that we know nothing about. And we end up, luckily sometimes, that's when we post our events publicly on the pre-bout list. So we'll have someone call up, hey, John Doe just fought in Oregon last weekend and he got knocked out. And I see you have him on the fight card coming up this weekend. We get a lot of public response that helps on things like that. So, but again, I know there's people that we're missing out there. And I'm sure all of us are missing out there, even on the pro side, because some things are just not reported. So.
Thank you for all working together. I think we see it. It was our expectation, and it continues to be our expectation. So whatever it takes, I'm sure you guys will continue to work together. Protect health and safety. Yes?
Just one question. Did you say that you were having trouble getting results from USA Boxing?
Not calling them directly, but finding them on the internet. Because, like I said, I can go on the internet and find MMA results. I can find other kickboxing, not a lot, not all of them, but I can find results from MMA, kickboxing, and Muay Thai.
Is that something that we could maybe put on the agenda or address that? That sounds very important.
Sure, I think their databases.
Their website's a little bit convoluted.
It's even close to done, so this should be. If it's not addressed by the next commission meeting, perhaps I'll speak with the chairman.
Well, just put it on the agenda so we make sure that it's the status is important.
Actually, they have an administrative password and user ID that they've given us, and maybe what they can do is give our delegations that same one. That makes it easier to navigate.
Sure.
Right? Because if you're just a member of the public, you're not gonna get that kind of information, right? So maybe they can give you guys that.
So
And
we
then-
feel it's important for anybody to have access to that. Because
Well-
again, if someone's having a fight on Native American land that doesn't have a sanctioning body, they may want to do a check on somebody.
Right, I'm just saying, you know, the guy from the street is probably not gonna have an admin password, but the regulators probably need to, right? But yeah, I don't really know. It's a very big website, and so, yeah, so they were giving these admin passwords when they were building it that made it easier to find. And I'm not saying it was easy, it was just easier to find. So maybe that's something that they can provide.
Good, Steve.
Anything else for Mr. Foster? Commissioners? Commissioner?
Just trying to grasp my arms around the issue of intrastate, fighting where folks come from out of state and even have a record on them or what have you. But actually it sounds like the issue's even within the state. I mean, just trying to figure out whether or not there's a background even from within state fighters. So, but just to get a general sense, this report here is April 12th through October 4th, just for that time period. So 289 bouts during that time. How many would you say are out-of-state fighters? I mean, is there a way to know?
Well, I can go back and give you an exact number how many out-of-state fighters. But I would say in this particular report here, under 20. I'm going to guess under 20. But if you go on our website, we have a past events page, and it tells you exactly where the fighter's from, what their record is, what they weighed in that day, what their height is, date of birth. I mean, so we have all that on our site. So, I mean, I give you guys more detailed figures to give you an idea where we're coming from out of state. So.
And you're saying that, what I'm hearing, I think you saying is that there's more of an issue with out-of-state fighters because there's less, the bodies are less regulated, the fighting bodies are less regulated in other states that are not California.
Well, yeah, we have it. The issue comes up more from the out-of-state fighters, but we still find in-state fighters that have fought on Native American land or fought in a legal event somewhere, okay, that, again, we didn't know about until either the fight's happening or we put their name on the website or after the fight, so that's why, the results to us are extremely important, to look into the past and see who's done what, because, again, I don't understand why it's not important for someone to list, how this person lost or if the results, period. It seems like some promoters are just, I'm not downing promoters by any means, because sometimes, obviously, they're not going to be as detailed in wanting these information and things like we do. But if you're going to spend the time and the energy to promote a fight, spend a little more time and energy just so everybody else know what happened, not just the people there. And to me, that just seems like a really simple thing as a promoter, okay, or even a sanctioning body. Show us that the fight happened, have proof, have records somewhere, because that's how we end up finding background checks with a lot of the fighters will do. We'll, type in their name and, Muay Thai or kickboxing or ISK or WK or different organizations looking for this information, okay? And again, some we find, some we don't, and we're told something. Well, a guy in a fight card happened a couple months back where someone says, hey, you got this guy listed as 1-0. I just want to let you know the guy's had like 15 fights. And I go, 15 fights, what? He's got X number of fights in MMA, X number in boxing, X number in Muay Thai. And I go, well, where'd you find all this? Well, he doesn't fight under that name. I'm like, really? So they give us another name, and all of a sudden, boom, we have all these other things coming up.
So let me ask this. I mean, this is obviously a very complex issue, just organizationally speaking. But taking advantage that we have a physician on the board here, I'm just wondering if there's a way, in addition to obviously doing the background check, which takes about 25 minutes, records and all that good stuff in past concussions, is there a way to when you do the physical before a fight, to find out whether or not, there have been issues with previous concussions, or is that just medically impossible?
No, I mean, you have to ask questions, you do a physical examination, but you can't find out from the physical examination only whether what you're seeing is from a previous concussion or that person's baseline or what have you. So it gets back to what he's saying, it's a history.
It's a package right now.
Well, it comes down to whether they're going to be truthful on two different forms. Every fighter, every year, does a full bout physical. And there's questions on that form that they have to ask that we're trusting them to be honest. And then every fighter before they fight, they have a whole list of questions that they answer before they see the doctor for their general basic stuff, for their medicals, for a pre-fight form. And again, it goes back to, was this person truthful? And a lot of fighters, not knowing the consequences of what could happen to them, and not being in a situation where we have as regulators, as long as we have, we've seen what could happen in a situation. Well, they may, if the question is asked if you're been unconscious, they're fearing, oh, I don't want to have these guys not let me fight because I've been knocked unconscious once. So they fear that. So they'll put a note down. Okay, or if they got knocked unconscious, here's a prime example. A guy falls off a motorcycle, hits his head on a rock without a helmet. We're never going to hear about that until it's too late. And I'm going down a whole other road here. My point being is, there's so many other things out there from a trust level.
But it's funny you should mention that, because I think Andy and I were having this discussion with the handheld MRI machines, and that's one of the things that I was concerned about, because, even if a guy has a hard spot and comes in with a slow bleed, and that's the thing that concerns me, like the Angel Osuna case that we had, the fight that we had in, 2013, maybe came in with a slow bleed and then, gets knocked out, or doesn't even get knocked out, and then something happens and it gets worse. So maybe that's something the MAC also needs to look at. Maybe that's the time that we can use the handheld MRI machines, is even though it's got some, it's not perfect, maybe it's 80%, 80-something%, but it's at the pre-fight physicals, at the weigh-in physicals. That's something that we need to look at. That's when we need to use it, just as an added safety precaution.
When that was addressed in the commission meeting, I was extremely excited to hear that. Prime example going to that, years ago, was brought up earlier in the public comment. Redmond Vergara, the guy who died in the Draka fight, he had fought 2 or 3 times and got knocked out with head kicks or head punches on Native American land. Okay, he was Fresno Casino, Tibble Mountain or whatever. No one knew about that. And on his form, he put he had never had a concussion. So there's an old saying that I've been told by many, many ring officials, that no one ever really dies in the ring from that. It's something that's happened before that. And we've been experiencing that. There's things that happen leading into that. So when the idea that thing came up, other than the money issue, how much it costs to do, that seemed to answer that question like you were asking. Is there any way to find out ahead of time? But to implement that and the expense of doing that, I guess you got to weigh it out. What can and cannot be done. But I'm just saying that the thing that Andy and the whole commission is ahead of right now in California, even with just that, you're head and shoulders above every commission, because no commission is thinking about that kind of line of thinking. Okay, they're not even entertaining that thought. And it's such an important part to advance to that level, to at least know what we're talking about there. So.
Mr. Chairman, I know we've been on this topic for a minute, but I have one quick question. And this is for you as well as John and JT. Getting back to the issue of AB 2007, and looking at some of the statistics you've pointed out in terms of the number of stoppages and knockouts, what have you, is there any concern on any of you all's part that the education associated with AB 2007, the CDC information, so on and so forth, do you have any concern that changes the sport? Do you have any concern that changes what happens, or how quickly a fight is stopped, or anything like that?
Personally, I don't believe so. I think the only thing is going to be, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of back talk from the trainers saying, why do I have to take a test? Why do I have to do this? It's just normal, but we've noticed that with everything we've implemented since we've taken over the Muay Thai and kickboxing, and everything we implement, they think, oh, it's conspiracy, why are you doing this? And we're trying to explain to them, well, it's for safety, for one, okay? Or, it's a rule we have to implement. Do I think it'll change the way the fighters are? No, I think the fighters, especially the parents, are going to see that we're really looking at the safety of these younger fighters, and it's important, because again, as I mentioned, no one has really addressed that. We know it's there, but it's not been addressed, you might say.
Well, JT Steele, Camel.
I think our only,
To the camera.
I smile. I think my only concern with it is that the language for DD 2007 is very broad. It is ambiguous. It is subject to multiple interpretations. So I think the question of does it affect the sport, I really think only time will tell, because this legislation is very broad. You know, to a point that's concerning from, I think, anybody who would.
Tom, you got?
So in regards to the CDC training, the course, for the youth side of the sport, for boxing and Muay Thai and pancration, it's a lot more conservative as far as the stoppages. And this course is very conservative because it's geared towards everything. So it's basically, if there's a indication of a concussion, the activity should be stopped. And I think the referees do that more for the youth sports, including boxing. You know, a standing count is where they evaluate the kid if he has a concussion or not. So I don't think it'll really affect the training in itself. Will affect the way things are officiated. Obviously, the adult level is different because concussion is part of the sport. You know, but
Boxing.
as far as the youth level, I don't think the training will. The biggest challenge is again to you know, if it is a law, to give it some teeth where it's actually enforced by us as a regulatory organization, and also to educate the trainers who have a little bit of a different mentality, whereas they may be good at their art, but some of the administrative stuff and regulatory stuff they're not as interested in knowing. So it's kind of a cultural or educational thing that we got to continue to push on it.
Thanks, John. Commissioners, anything else? Delegates? Thank you very much.
John, can I ask?
Yes, sir.
I'm not as sophisticated about this as I should be, but just sitting here as somewhat of a layman, if I understand it correctly, he's saying that there's a substantial number of combatants who are misrepresenting their professional history. And by doing so, they either make themselves or their opponent vulnerable. And it seems to me that that goes to an issue that is pretty much at the heart of what we're doing here. And I think my sense is that this is the middle of a meeting about a number of topics, but is this something we should sit down and discuss and approach in a more in-depth way? I mean, because what he's telling me here is that a lot of people are getting into these rings, and we know little about their background that we can actually rely upon. Now, is that right or wrong, Andy?
No, that's exactly correct. And what Commissioner Souter's bringing up is the crux of the issue that we've been dealing with for years. Okay? The ABC meeting this year, let me get to the issue. The issue is we have no national database in kickboxing. We have a national database in boxing. We have a national database in mixed martial arts. There is no such thing in kickboxing.
To add to that, I'm sorry.
Let
ABC
him-
approved
Please
one.
don't interrupt, just hang on, go ahead. Okay, you're good.
I was appointed as chair of the register committee for the association. I met with John Shepard earlier this year. He runs Box Rec. Everybody knows Box Rec. They've been approved as an ABC record keeper. I talked to him about doing kickboxing records for us. Okay, all it would take is a vote of the ABC saying, his agreement, Mr. Shepard, you're now the kickboxing record keeper. And everybody starts sending their results to John. When Steve sends me results for the amateur results, or when we do the professional shows, guess where I send the results? I send them to Fight Facts and mixedmartialarts.com, because I got no place to send them to. But at least I want to let the other commissions know that these people have been stopped, they have got a suspension, so if they go to play in these other areas, at least they're there. But if they go back to kickboxing, nobody's going to know, unless they're extremely diligent in checking all these databases, which I'm assuring you they're not. Okay, so The issue is the lack of the ID card, which tracks who this person is and what their record is. A number, just like in the federal ID, which is in the federal law, every boxer has it, Commissioner Mary had one, or the MMA ID, okay, which is tracked by the ABC. I have one of those, okay. Your record will always follow that. You have nothing in kickboxing. What I can tell this commission is, I've been working on this for several years, actually. The problem is nobody really, kickboxing is not, for a place like Boxer, kickboxing has not got enough activity to really, I'm talking to them. And if we can get that done, that would be a huge step to promote safety for kickboxers.
We're starting.
To add to that, the ABC, when Tim Lukenhoff was president, they did approve a database. It's the one we use right now, Fight Sport Insider. However, what Tim Lukenhoff told the gentleman who developed the database originally, he said, we can vote on it, but I can't force the states to use it. Now, New Jersey reported to Fight Sport Insider for a while there, and that happened all maybe, I think, 4 or 5 months. But none of the other states ever reported to Fight Sport Insider. And if you go to Fight Sport Insider, it's extremely detailed. And it was made, technically you can handle all fight sports, but we know we have one for MMA, we know we have boxing.
We are, Andy, we're doing it, and we are, Andy's been advocating and lobbying the ABC and others to do. We can't compel it. That's your point.
Exactly. And again, like I said, the ABC already did approve one years ago.
So it's a little bit of a question of supply and demand. And like Andy says, there's just not as much activity. And the reason, I think one of the reasons there isn't as much activity in kickboxing is because in the recent past, there's like 18 different sets of rules. And so when a promoter wants to put on a show, oftentimes they're in the back trying to explain the rules to the officials, and it's just very convoluted and it's very difficult. So one of the things that we've done is the ABC has created a subcommittee this last time, chaired by Andy, and we are, and I'm on it, and we are rewriting the unified rules of kickboxing and Muay Thai. And so that's the first step to trying to get get our arms wrapped around this whole kickboxing thing. Hopefully, there will be some uniformity to get the market going a little bit, and that will hopefully help the market, the promotion, and get people a little bit more excited about it and get things moving in the right direction.
Commissioner Sauer, did they answer your question?
It does, but I don't understand, and I know we as an organization are concerned about it, and Andy, as in so many areas, is a pioneer, in effect, in trying to find corrective policies and practices. I just look at it and say, we are the leading commission, leading executive director, and I'm just wondering what we can do more than we're now doing to address this. Because I would say, if we don't know who these people are and what their legitimate records are, why are we allowing it to take place? And I don't want to in any way diminish the competition or the scale of the competition or the legitimacy of the sport.
Well, it's in every sport. It's not just kickboxing and Muay Thai. We do MMA as well.
Yeah.
Well,
then
Steve, let Andy address. We'll get to you.
The kickboxing issue is the real issue because there's no database. And what we could do, sir, Chairman wanted to do, I could get us a call set up with John Shepard and talk to him about this, box rec. There's a way to
whatever the pleasure of this commission is, a follow-up, any suggestions? Sure. You want to come back with some recommendations for
yes, sir. Steve brought up why reinvent the wheel. We just suppose it is. Box rec would be easy because everybody reports to them already.
So to the existing boxing database system, box rec, working with them.
That's correct.
Okay. So what about we agendize this for the next meeting, and you have an update for us on what we've talked about and maybe some activity.
Yeah, and I think also, Mr. Chairman, what we should be doing,
Yes, sir.
what this commission is capable of doing to address this shortfall in the knowledge of the competitors.
Andy, perhaps you could compel our delegated gentleman here to respond to you on that.
Okay.
Provide in writing the Commissioner Sauer is asking for.
Okay.
You have all that knowledge, obviously. Love to hear it, see it.
His database is the best.
Good, excellent. We'll keep this on our list of.
Okay.
Next time.
Now, can I ask one last, and I'll stop.
No, go
Because
ahead.
I think I'm making life more complex than it should be. You talked about the low percentage. Is that low percentage, in your opinion, appropriate? Is it too low? Is it too high?
Well, sir, this question I've given lots of thought to, so I just want to gather my thoughts. You know, when you look at the amateur side and then you compare it to the pro side, you know, sometimes I'm wondering, I just wonder to myself as a regulator, is there something we could be doing on the pro side that would kind of lower this number down? I think Dr. Williams brought the C3 Logics program, and hopefully, I'm hoping to see some substantial changes with that system. But I gotta remember, I think, and I know that IU folks don't agree with me, but I think a large portion of that reduction that you're seeing compared to pro is that headgear. That's what I believe, is the headgear. I believe that. And I believe that headgear protects people from getting stopped, from getting knocked out. I believe that. And their own evidence suggests that, but they don't. But and I think when you remove that headgear, I believe those punches become harder and you're easier to get knocked out. That's what and I think it's reflected in the data.
Vice Chair, former fighter, said she testified to that. Any other commissioners? Andy, anything else on that item? Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Under the Executive Officer's report, we have 3 more items, and then we will open it up for public comment. Andy, you're on item G or F. Report on UCLA Neurotrauma Symposium.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this was just a quick lead. I was very graciously invited to Dr. Williams' conference in Chicago earlier this year, and I participated in that. And I learned a lot from that conference. So, I got asked to come to the UCLA conference in Sonoma, and I was the dinner speaker. And so I guess I spoke for 30 or 40 minutes. It was quite a long talk. Many questions followed up after I was done. I guess what and I won't belabor this, I guess what I was a little bit surprised by, which I was glad to answer the question, is you know, some of the neurologists, not all, certainly, but some do not know very much about what we do in Boston. And I was glad to share that information. Even some people didn't know that. One of the questions I got was, well, how come this is a four-rounder? What's a 4-rounder? You know, we only, because they'd only saw one on TV. So I was very glad to be asked. Dr. Williams asked me earlier, and that certainly opened my eyes. I was able to tailor my PowerPoint around that. I gave a lot of history in California about boxing in California. A lot of people didn't know that California was founded, boxing was banned, you know, in the state constitution, and how the commission was formed down the road. And I thought they found that somewhat interesting.
Well, that goes to what occurs to me, comments before about the challenge with recruiting physicians, right, to work with us. So perhaps more of these community outreach, educational sessions, we need to focus on that, and more opportunity to talk about 4-rounders and everything else may make it as it does for most people when they get exposed to Yeah, I would like to participate. Why don't we, let's work on that if we could.
Yes, sir.
It's a great thing, thank you.
Now, agenda item G, concussion, CSAC Sports Management Protocol, update on the purchase and implementation of C3 Logics, a concussion management system that assists physicians in determining appropriate times for combating to return to competition. Like I said, this was done. This has been completed, this contract. We should be taking delivery in a couple weeks. I'm working with Frank. In fact, I had a call with him yesterday to set up the training for our inspectors. What I can tell you, commissioners, certainly I don't mind hard work, but this is going to take some hard work because this is a statewide project, and I'm working with Frank and we're working with Dr. Williams to develop reasonable baselines, realistic baselines, where we can actually achieve this so that we become in full compliance over a period of time. Once we do our first few events, I'll know kind of what to expect. Certainly the larger events, when fighters all come in a few days earlier or at the hotel, those events, in my view, will be easier to baseline those fighters than fighters that show up at weigh-ins. But we're still going to do that also. But we're working on it, and when I come back in the December meeting, I'll have a much more thorough report and an outline of where this is going. And in fact, at that meeting, it's my hope that I can report to you that we begin baselining some of the fighters here in California.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It is going to take a lot of coordination. Logistics will be an interesting endeavor, and because of our unique circumstance in California, it's different from, say, Nevada, who's also looking at implementing C3 Logics. It's going to take a lot of coordination and work, but I think there's at least a couple of different options we have in implementing it, and I'm confident we'll get it done. But I think Andy makes a great point. This is going to be a process, and it's going to be something that probably we're able to get up to 100%, participation with over the course of time. But we'll get there. It'll be a great step forward for us.
Are we just doing this with boxing or boxing and MMA?
Boxing and MMA.
Commissioners, questions on C3 Logic rollout? It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Get that neural fund working. Very good. Thank you, Andy. Item H is upcoming event schedule.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. As you know, as you requested, I put this in the meeting materials every time, just to draw attention to the various events. And certainly, any of these events commissioners can go to. I'm just trying to highlight events that you may find interesting.
And note that in December, there's two big events on the same night, unfortunately. And we'll be up in the day before up in Sacramento, so people can choose to stay or come back and go to one or two great events, big events.
First event I point out to you is the Mega Products in Corona. It's Thompson Boxing. It's a show box, Showtime show.
Thompson?
Yeah, on November 4th. It's Banner and Thompson. They're promoting together. The next event, I point out one of our, we have so many good promoters, and we recognize K2, but I would just like to point out, Golden Boy is one of our fabulous promoters also, and they're having a wonderful fight on 11/18 at Fantasy Springs, and that's a title eliminator.
And Andy, we expect, in case Oscar has something to say about that, that we'll recognize additional promoters.
Oh, yes, sir.
We're just getting started.
That's a significant event. Commissioner Mary lives very close to there. And then another significant event, certainly the event I'll be at that weekend, 11/19, we have a very significant event at the SAP Center. Bellator.
For the tent pole.
It's a tent pole event, yes, ma'am. Then, I don't wanna skip by, the Save Mart Center on 12-2 in Fresno. Probably, most commissioners can't make Fresno, but that event, the last event, memory serves, they had 14 or 15,000 attendance. A very significant event in Fresno, California. Then, on 12-16, we at Fantasy Springs, again with Oscar and Golden Boy, we have HBL Latino on 12-16. And then, it's my understanding, sir, on the event schedule, and this is the way the permit came in, but certainly by the press reports, the 12-17 show looks to be, and I'll know when I return to the office tonight, it looks to be that this has changed HBO World Championship boxing. And I'm reasonably certain of that, I would say it.
For the Golden Boy?
Yeah, on 12-17. So it's a full HBO. And it looks like it's going to be Hopkins versus Smith. And that's Renard Hopkins.
Renard Hopkins, 51 years old, huh?
Yes, sir. He'll be taking the ARP medals. Renard Hopkins. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Wow.
And then on 12-17, we have UFC on Fox in Sacramento, Paige Van Zant's headlining that card, Sacramento native. And then, not on your schedule, but came in after the posting. 12-18, Citizens Bank Arena, King of the Cage, Mixed Martial Arts, and that is a Sunday show. King of the Cage.
Bank in San Bernardino.
Citizens Bank Arena,
Ontario.
Yes, sir. Also, just want to, for the sake of, just for your calendar's sake, January 21st, it's a long way out, January 21st, you may want to keep open significant events coming to Southern California that day.
But you're not telling us. It's all right.
The press release is today.
Okay, got it.
And then
21st.
Boys.
I mean, certainly, yeah, many of these events are great, and feel free to come to any, I'm just pointing out.
Right,
some major
I appreciate that.
events.
Okay, item I.
Okay, this will be quick. Chairman,
Not trying to rush you. Take your time.
at the beginning of the year, I think this commission, members, Chairman Carvel wanted to make sure that we had some education this year. Very focused on education, the officials' education, the combatants. So we worked on video, and we've got a video of Dr. Williams. We've got a video of Dr. Ayub talking about dehydration, Dr. Williams talking about concussion, and John McCarthy talking about the mixed martial arts officiating. Those videos are close to done. I've sent both of you guys a rough final. Of course, it'll have some interesting pieces. Thanks to the UFC, Golden Week, our providing clips for those. I will have those with your permission, sir. I'll have them at the next meeting to show the final copy of the commission.
What is the purpose of these?
To educate the combatants and the licensees on concussions, on dehydration, and on officiating. And then the brochures, it's not a handout, but we're working on these. These are 2-page concussion brochure. Now, this is just a flyer, but I also have wallet cards being made and also some posters. And we'll be distributing these. These are CDC. It's just CSEX. It's the CDC's information. But I wanted to let you know that those are in the process. In fact, this one came back. The wallet card should be an art.
I think it was great. Great progress. Commissioners, any comments or questions about video, brochures, education materials, outreach materials? Okay, I think that concludes your report. And at this time, we will invite any commissioners that have any comments about Andy's report, if they haven't already named. And we can invite members of the public to comment on any of the items that Andy just reported on. Everyone has 3 minutes. please come on up, introduce yourself. Tell us what you have. Andy, would you give Greg the mic there, please?
Yeah, I had comments on,
Introduce yourself for the
my name's
record.
Greg Patchell. I had comments to JTC. I put a public records request out for how many adult pancreation events that went on since 2010. Has there been any pancreation tournaments, adult pancreation tournaments since you've taken over?
You don't have to respond.
Do I respond to these,
This is public comment.
Okay, well, I put a public records requested for that, and haven't received that. I've been trying to get a hold of Andy, I've been trying to get a hold of them. Been trying to get a hold of them on many issues concerning boxers and concerning the neurological fund. This one right now is on pancreation. In 2010, the Athletic Commission took over pancreation, claiming it was full contact with no head strikes. And then they waited to 2014 to delegate to take over amateur kids pancreation with no head strikes, claiming it's full contact. But I can hold a kickboxing event, and the kids can strike the head, the adults can strike the head, and it's considered light contact. No regulation needed, no doctor, no ambulance. This is called point kickboxing. And if they put it in the gym, if there's no winner, it's light contact. So it's two kids and start punching the head, and it's considered light contact, no doctor, no ambulance. But if I hold a pancreation tournament with no head strikes, then I have to have a doctor and ambulance. So my question is, since you guys illegally declared pancreation full contact with no head strikes in 2010, how many adult pancreation tournaments have went on since 2010? There hasn't been none. This business and profession codes, you guys do not go by this at all. There's laws written which you're supposed to follow, and most of these laws you don't follow. Right here it says light contact means the use of controlled martial arts techniques whereby contact to the body is permitted in a restrained manner. No contact to the face is permitted, and no contact permitted which may result in intended result in physical harm to opponent. So how can you declare a sport that does not strike the head full contact, such as pancreation? That's been my issue since 2000 and 2010 and 2016, and it's still going to continue. How can I go on and go to a point kickboxing event where my kids can strike the head? I don't need a doctor, I don't need an ambulance, I don't need a registered. I can do a taekwondo tournament, kick to the head, knock the opponent out, light contact. I can do adult Kyoshinkai karate tournament where there's no sparring gear used at all, where I can kick and punch the body with full force. I can knee the head and knock the opponent out, and you declare it light contact.
Greg, you're at 3 minutes. We're going to try to wrap up, and you'll have another chance to comment on other items.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other members of the public who would like to comment on the executive officer's report? Any items that we covered? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of this commission to take a break for lunch and then reconvene? Anybody?
Yes, I second.
Move to adjourn for lunch. How long do we need, folks? 45 minutes? Does it work for everyone?
How much longer is the balance of the agenda, do we think?
Another hour or so,
Okay.
perhaps? Give you an estimate? Andy? Hour? Okay. So we will then convene here for 45 minutes. See everybody back at 12:45. Thank you. How about we, good afternoon, reconvene our Tuesday, October 18, 2016 California State Athletic Commission meeting. I believe we were about to take up agenda item number 6. Thank you, sir. Pension Fund Subcommittee, Vice Chair Lehman, Commissioner Ayala. Ayala, would you guys like to, or Andy, do you want to start?
Well, sir,
we have an action plan in place, subcommittee. I'm carrying out that plan. Of note, since our last meeting, is I've reached out to World Boxing Council. They have a ratio, and these people have a large presence in Mexico, and we're getting some things to them so that they can help us get the word out in Latin America. Our rounds purse is currently up to date, which is a report we provided the third-party administrator.
Andy, I can't
Okay,
hear you.
sorry, sir. Our rounds purse report is up to date, which
Did you
means.
skip over Cleto Reyes?
Yes, sir, I was going.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries. I was hoping to have a presence at the Hall of Fame, but I wasn't able to make that happen. Unless I can get Jack or somebody to go.
October 22nd?
Yeah,
Saturday.
it's this week here.
So why can't we have anybody go?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find somebody to go. I thought I might be able to make it, but I'm not able to.
Is that something like Commissioner Ayala can do or something, or?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm available.
Yeah. If you're available, I mean, there's people you know that will be going there, I'm sure.
I've been to it before, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a great turnout of veteran fighters.
I
did.
I can get some details from you later and see if it coincides with my calendar.
Sure.
Is it a question of buying a ticket or something like that? Or do we have
Just availability?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I wasn't, I mean, I could come, but I don't know if it's a good use of commission resources for me to fly in.
You know what, it's down the street from my house, I could probably figure out how to get there.
Yeah,
If only just to make an announcement.
Just showing it is a good thing.
That would be great, you could bring the brochures, we have the
Yeah.
brochures, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I went last year,
All
it's
right.
very nice, yeah.
Thank you.
I've got the brochures handed out,
Thank you.
several more.
You're off the hook there.
Okay, I'll go to
Come here.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's very
It's a lot of
nice.
fun.
You should go.
Officials and inspectors throughout the state are supplying materials to local gyms, so that's helpful. We have it at the weigh-ins. You guys have been to the weigh-ins many times. You'll see our stuff out there. And every packet we send out has the materials in it for those things and for distribution. Probably we're going to be doing another media release in November. And kind of let it go and get the DCA involved again with us and help us out. So we've got a lot of good response to that. Like I said, we got another one in last week. So when I report to you in December, this number, this 251 should be increased substantially. That's not a quick, so.
Mr. Chairman, I just would like to say that when I got this book, it contained two pamphlets that related to pensions. I thought they were excellent.
Yeah.
They're not going to win any awards for artistic originality, but they are truly functional, direct,
artistic.
and clear, and congratulations.
Yeah.
Whoever in the state did that did a very good job.
It took them all these years to do it because this is really, really.
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Since I know this may not fall under pension fund subcommittee, but I was looking at item 5B, I think it is, and it's something that can be discussed next week because we're 5C. I can't figure out what is the cost of administering the pension fund and the cost as it relates to the size of the pension being distributed. In the nonprofit, in the philanthropic world, that's a huge issue. How much of your annual total cash distribution is internal expense and how much of it actually goes directly to the recipients of the philanthropic endeavor. And I'd like to know what it is. I tried to figure out what the figures were, and they struck me as being abnormally high. So I'd like to think that I was not figuring them correctly. So perhaps in our next meeting, we could get a report on the cost distribution ratio of our pension fund.
You have some information now?
Yeah, I can certainly speak to it.
Please.
A moment. And I'll have more information at the offset. So, as Commissioner Sauter, you're familiar with many philanthropic efforts, and they're limited to basically many of these funds like this are limited to the administrative funds based off the corpus. Okay, how much is in the account? How much is the fund? And that's what the legislature did, and we're capped at 2% of the corpus. Okay, so like basically 5.2 million, 110,000, just quickly in my head, or appropriations 109. 109 is not an accident, that's a legislative mandate. As you pointed out, we've given out 251. Okay?
You cannot do what?
No, I mean, as you pointed out, we've given out 251, and we're spending like 106 last year to give out 251. That's a terrible ratio. I mean, from by anybody's standards, that's terrible. Okay. The bottom line is, it's still significantly better than several years ago. I mean,
it's what?
It's significantly better than several years ago.
What's better?
The giving out of the money, the increase.
The problem is that we can't give it out anymore. We're trying to give out more. It's not your typical, I'm not funding people who have valid, things to make the world better. We just can't, we're trying to give it out. So that's not.
That's correct.
That ratio rule doesn't really apply to our situation.
Well, the only thing I'm not here to get involved in this because greater minds can deal with it. But the fact that we're not giving out money is not the issue. The fact is we're giving out very little money, which would indicate there's very little labor being required in the pension fund itself, and personnel constitutes more than half of our spending. And I just look at it and say, why is that, since we're giving out so little money to begin with? Now, maybe I'm misreading all this. And now for 216, 217, the cost of personnel has gone up by about about 5%, but more than that. And the amount distributed has gone up from 106, well, whatever. I just think we should really look at that, and maybe there's some other way we can have this fund administered so that, we're not paying $60,000 in personnel costs to give away $109,000 or $6,000. It just doesn't make any sense.
This is the civil service allocation
That's
to
correct.
the personnel, to the pension fund. It's not that it's not that we're spending this on the pension. I think maybe you need to explain.
Oh,
that.
gosh, pension funds are a cost of business.
Right. That's right. So basically, you can think about it in broad terms as we have 4 expenses to run the pension fund. Okay, the civil service line item you clearly pointed out, that represents a half of one position, so a 0.5. Okay, so what you've got there is 41 and 21. The benefits, that's a 0.5.
Well, I guess my point, we could give this, as we were saying at lunch, to Dr. Love for a lot less money than we're doing here. And if it can't be fixed, it can't be fixed. But I think it's quite awkward what we're looking at in terms of cost and distribution. And it'd be nice if we could find something less onerous.
I really got no argument with that. I mean, it's
Well, how did we end up with Raymond James? Question number 1. And number 2 is, do we have to pay out the 2% of the fund balance, or can we pay less?
We can pay less, sir, but it says a civil service allocation to it. Okay, it's a 0.5. And, so once you have the civil service allocation to any state program,
No, I get that part. How much is Raymond James getting?
35, I believe.
So it's 35,000. They're not getting 110,000.
No, sir. You can only spend 109.
Okay.
So they get 35 benefit resources. I bet.
Is the CP service external Raymond James? 29,000?
I believe that's right, sir. Yes, sir.
That's Raymond James?
Yes, sir.
Well, I certainly didn't want to initiate a long look at this today, but at some point in the future, it would be interesting to know if that ratio could be changed in some way.
Commissioner Souter, we are, as Commissioner Martha pointed out, we are going to focus on budget in our December meeting. We're going to have folks from the agency discuss and explain pro rata. So why don't we invite these folks as well to come and be available for questions and prepare for them if we could.
Sure.
Please, thank you. Commissioners, any other comments on agenda item 6? Pension Fund Subcommittee, other than a thanks to our subcommittee members for making real good progress. Okay, we can welcome any public input on agenda item number 6, the Pension Fund Subcommittee update. Seeing none, we will move on to agenda item number 7. Discussion regarding possible amendments to the Commission's regulations regarding technical zones. Technical zone is the area between the ring and a Commission-controlled barrier designated for medical staff and equipment, officials, promoter staff, television staff, and CSAC staff. Mr. Foster.
Mr. Chairman, this was an item that you and I talked about, but I think it'd be a matter of good public policy for the Commission to consider looking at language to draft. And basically, this would require, or this clarifies that the executive officer or appointee has control of that technical zone between the ring and the barrier. Precisely for placement of the EMS equipment, for the stretcher, the paramedics equipment. Often, but certainly not always, we don't have that equipment inside that barrier. It's a bit further off. Okay. I can point to one example last year or earlier this year that got me thinking about this, and then when the Dada 5000 Kimbo Slice fight happened in Texas, it certainly got me thinking about this particular regulation, and it's something that I think we, as a commission, you have an assistant executive officer that can write regulations, or can get them through, knows the process, which is a skill in itself. I can make it happen, and you guys are here. We don't have a problem right now per se, because I just asserted, and we said, but as a matter of public policy, it might be a good idea to clarify this for future commissions. But listen, the commission controls this area, and the EMS equipment is here. We had that fight in Fresno, and we had done the evac plan, but some stuff changed between the evac plan and the actual fight. It went down. TV cameras moved, booms moved, things happened. And I think our response time, which it didn't matter, the guy was okay, but I think our response time could have been a bit better. And certainly I think it's a fair statement from the ARP thing that we went to earlier this year that perhaps the Dada 5000 response time could have been a bit better. I'm talking about with the EMS equipment. And it just makes me think that as a matter of good public policy, it might be something for the commission to at least consider.
So the situation would be like this, say it's, the second fight, and you notice that the TV's moved, or the camera is now blocking access to the oxygen, let's say, and everything's going on, it's chaotic, and you want to have the clear authority to say, okay, we need access to this, and not have this big argument or delay the fights, just to have it clear from that emergency situation that the executive officer or CSAC's in charge.
Exactly, and really, you guys have been to stuff up, all of them have been to stuff up. And sometimes it's up there in the zone, and sometimes it's in the back. If you guys remember? I think it should be in that, up there up front all the time in case we need it. Fresno's another example, and it depends a lot on how the promoter has the setup diagrammed out. When you do the initial evac plan, there's never a problem, because guess what? Nobody's there. You know, like, it's very few people. But when you get a world championship fight or something, everybody's there. And I think that that real estate becomes, Chairman knows, that real estate becomes scarce. And I think we need the authority to make sure that, look, health and safety is number one. We're going to keep that stuff up there with us. And it's just part of our stuff. You guys got to figure it out.
Commissioners?
I think it's a great idea because, as you said, that real estate becomes very scarce and very crowded. And it's just, even for just security purposes, I think it's a great idea.
And, Texas has its regulation in the books.
So we need a motion, we entertain a motion to have you pursue this regulation package.
Well, I could draft some language and bring you back something to look at in December.
We need a motion to have you now, or just ask you to go back and draft some language and put it on the next agenda?
You don't need a motion.
Don't need a motion? Okay,
Just
thank you.
direction.
Just sounding like that. So is it the commission's pleasure to direct Andy to proceed with this? Everybody okay?
Yes.
Just wondering if we could pursue it as an emergency reg. Because it's health and safety, we have kind of a reason, concerns about it. And if it's important, it might be important to do sooner rather than later.
No, I agree. I can certainly go down that. You know, I use 18640 whenever there's a problem, but you guys have been to these big fights, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And sometimes they'll just say, no, we're using this block of seats. It'll have to go over here. It's be better.
It is a safety thing. I've been stuck in a spot right.
I'll use this example, and no offense, Commissioner Farson, but there was a fight at StubHub, and I think it was an Angulo fight, and things started to get a little bit rowdy, and Oscar de la Hoya was sitting behind me, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, his security team is going to get him out, but I'm going to have to throw Commissioner Farson under the ring, because I don't know how I'm going to get him out of here, right? And it started to get very rowdy, and then I'm thinking, if something happens inside the ring, how are we going to get these fighters?
I've had that thought to myself more than once, is how are we going to get the stretcher up here? I've had that thought to myself.
So let's invite some public comment. Roy, come on, please.
Thank you, Andy Roy, direct fight promoter. Certainly someone who has had to handle the corral or the technical zone and has called for major fights on both coasts, and also as a club promoter when there is not a technical zone. I agree with Andy that in fact you could have the paramedics and the gurney inside the technical area. We just would have to, as we do work with Andy and the lead inspector now, just pull out 4 seats, and that's where the gurney goes, and we put 2 seats for the paramedics there. I would ask though that in any regs that are a new reg that is changed or additional, that in fact the technical zone and the barricades really should apply to the major TV fights. It's entirely different on a club promotion where you don't have the technical zone, you don't have barricades. Every seat is valuable to that club promoter where he doesn't get any TV money. He just has to sell those seats as close as possible. What you could do, I know in our Fight Club OC shows, the gurney and the paramedics sit about 22 feet from the ring. on the aisle so they have direct access. That could be something a reg that says the paramedics have to be no more than 30 feet away so that there is immediate access. But I would like to think that the non-TB fights, that zone is handled a little different. Thank you.
Anyone else like to comment on technical zone? So I think, Commissioner, unless you'd like to add something, I think you have some direction from this commission. Please do proceed and do check into, as Vice Chair Lehman mentioned, about whether or not this would qualify as an emergency reg. Now that we're pointing it out and discussing it, obviously we need to pay attention to it. It's a health and safety issue, of course, so please, you'll inform us as soon as possible. Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 8, presentation, discussion, and possible action regarding the use of quick aid bandages for use during a bout to stop bleeding. Mr. Foster.
Mr. Chairman, we have a representative from Quick Aid that's stated to present this item to the commission. This was set up. The commission basically has 3 substances: adrenaline, additive, stop cuts. Quick Aid has been approved in a couple of states, including Nevada. According to Quick Aid, they're not a water ban, and they don't have any water ban substances inside the thing. So I'll let you talk more about it.
Absolutely. Thank you for seeing me today. My name's Adam Duffy.
Adam Duffy.
Yes, sir. And I was a Quick Aid. And I actually have some extra materials and samples. If you'd like, I can disperse it to you guys right now. Is that okay?
Yeah. I brought my own samples. I brought my own samples because I didn't know who was bringing samples.
Andy, where is Adam from? Where's the individual company?
Yeah, Quick Aid.
Where is Quick Aid?
We're based in Orange County.
Okay. Is this your company, Adam?
No, it's not mine.
You work for it, for Quick Aid?
I work for
Okay. Where in Orange County are you guys?
South Orange County, and actually we work with St. David sometimes, but most of Orange County office. Okay. And so what I'll give you right here is some samples. I'm actually going to give you a sealed sample as well. Okay, you guys can keep on with that or whatever you see. You see with these samples that there's a simple texture.
Maybe a couple aromatic.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated.
Here's an open,
Okay.
non-sterile sample.
Andy? While this is going on, what is the utilization of this? What are the circumstances under which some authorities apparently allow this to be used?
Sir, when you're boxing or you're fighting, certainly I've had about 70 stitches in my face up through here. These bones up in this area and the bones right down here are sharp. You can feel them and they're sharp. When the glove hits them and there's not a lot of Vaseline there, it will cause the bone actually to come through the skin and cut. That's what it does. It cuts you. And so you'll see many fighters cut their boxing. So in the 60 seconds between the things, you have a cut man, and he's up there working on this stuff.
Right.
You'll see him Q-tips or whatever. Stitch Duran sometimes uses this substance, and it's like a tape, and he'll tell you more about it. So he puts it in for several seconds, a time period, and then takes it off, and it has apparently sealed the cut, at least stop the bleeding.
Because the problem is if they can't stop the cut, especially with your eye, they could stop the
Right,
fight because
right.
you can't see.
I understand. I just wanted an explanation. And who uses this now?
So it's actually used worldwide. Cutmen used around the world, trainers.
In what states?
Well, it's currently approved in Georgia. It's also approved in Nevada, and the agency approved it within 24 hours of submission. And it's currently being requested to go get approval in this state and others, which is why I'm bringing it today, because from demand, they're saying we need to get this approved so we can actually go appropriately use it. So it's also being used in other countries around the world. It was actually in the Olympics, you might have noticed. There you go. So we have a company, here's a clipper, he's a big fan of the product, and swears by it. And very simply, if you don't mind, if you have a small little
Adam,
explanation.
excuse me one second. I always like to know, I know you're Adam Duffy and you're a great guy, but who are we talking to? What is the Quick Aid Company? Who owns
Yes.
it? What do you guys do?
Yes, the Quick Aid Company is it's a small board based out of Orange County, and we also have it originally was in Beverly Hills, we moved down to Orange County. We're in process to actually move to Florida. So the owner is CEO is Linda Eastwood, and
Who?
Linda Eastwood.
Okay.
She's the CEO. So yes, that's what we are, and
Our
our
life is in bad shape.
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would you
maybe
try to
put it
speak louder like
closer,
this?
just put it closer, I think.
Check one, check two.
Thank you.
Is that better? Okay. So, yeah, so we actually have some people on the board. We have Dr. Coons on the board. And we actually had Dr. Sinclair over at Scripps Hospital. And he actually went through some trials and procedures. And actually he's on our website discussing the product.
I'm
So,
looking at your website. Good.
yes, sir. So quickaid.com, right? And if you actually go to the medical overview page, if you wanted to actually see it in action, there's a trial at the bottom of the page.
Okay.
So you get to see it actually in action as important.
So what we're looking at, Andy,
Yes, sir.
if this is used, one presumes, am I correct in presuming, that far fewer fights would be stopped because of the cuts? What's the impact on fighting as we now know it if these devices are used?
Commissioner Souter, I'm gonna have to give you the best answer I can. And the answer is, I've not saw enough of this product to give you a good answer. I've read the materials, I've just not saw it in action enough to tell you definitively, yes, less fights will be stopped.
Does Nevada have any information on this as to what its impact is? I mean, I start with the assumptions that fights that were once stopped will now continue. Wounds that once determined the outcome of the fight will no longer determine the outcome of a fight.
That's my assumption as well, sir.
Has Nevada published any information about the utilization of this material?
They have submitted an actual official approval.
I have an official approval from them. I have an
I'm
official
sorry,
meeting.
they have submitted to whom?
They gave us a letter of approval saying that they are approving it in the state of Nevada.
So they have told the fight industry in Nevada that they can use this material.
That's correct.
How long, let me ask you quickly. How long has that been?
I believe that they approved it in approximately 2013.
I can't hear you.
I believe in 2013 was when actually it was approved.
So the Nevada State Athletic Commission approved the use of Quick Aid in 2013.
Approximately, yes, on the correct year.
Have you heard that, Andy? Because I follow this thing pretty well. I haven't heard that at all.
I have not, sir.
I'm just trying to find out. You're saying 13?
2013.
And we haven't heard about this?
Well, if you haven't heard, what I can definitely do is submit and write these sort of approvals that I can send to you so you can actually confirm it yourself.
Can I pipe in here for a second? So I actually, because I didn't know you were gonna be here, I knew that we had this on the agenda, but I actually brought my own sample because I think some of you guys know Arnold and I work with a small nonprofit of at-risk kids, and we use this with the
Good question.
with some of the kids because sometimes they bump heads when they spar, and so we've been using it. And the way we found it is through Stitch, who works with Bellator and at some point worked with UFC. He's been using it, and he cuts it into little pieces and uses it during the fight. So it actually has been around for a while. It's been used in the industry for a while.
It's been used where?
Where?
In the fighting industry for a while.
Fight industry.
Fight industry. So maybe it hasn't been widely advertised, but I knew about it. And because especially with the kids, we didn't want to, not kids, but with the younger people, we didn't want to use liquids and things like that that might get into their eyes. So it was recommended to us by Stitch, who is one of the best cut men in the industry. That's how we know about it. So it has been around.
I had a question. It says that it contains no substances that are banned by WADA, but I find no list of ingredients.
There's really only two main ingredients. It's an alginate and it's a cotton.
What's
It's
an alginate?
Alginate is a derivative of seaweed. And so it's actually, what makes this product so good and so simple is that it is all natural products. There's no additives, there's no pharmaceuticals, there's no chemicals. And they're actually using a proprietary matrix that soaks the water out of the blood. And it allows the body to actually heal itself. The natural clots form. And because the alginate becomes gelatinous upon contact with liquid, it does not allow it to stick to the clot. When you pull it out, we would pull it off. The clot's not going with it. It's a very simple process.
It says approved by ABC. Have you verified all that?
I have not.
I have that for you if you need.
I mean, I remember it vaguely, but I don't.
And you haven't seen this in use?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I don't think we have in front of us anywhere near the information that would be needed to make a decision on this.
No, we can't.
And I think it's interesting, and I'm fascinated to know about it. And, you know, I just think we need more than we have, and I think we certainly need to know what the experience has been in Nevada as a result of this being used. And I think there becomes an issue, do we want to change things? I don't want to get into an argument with Martha here, you know, on that kind of an issue. But I just think we need a lot more information, and I think you need to come through the door with a lot more information than you're providing.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
What I think is this, that, Andy, we have to look through our cut people. Those are the people who know, not so much commission, but some of the people who take care of cuts and get a general idea about this whole thing. Not just what Nevada, I mean,
Maybe you
like
could.
Van said, we really should look into this a little bit.
Let's go down the table. So, Vice Chair, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think I would like possible to follow up with the Georgia and Nevada commissions and see if they have any, confirm that their acceptance and what research they did beforehand, or even their conclusions after it, and just a little more background. But I personally am in favor of it. One thing that was in the materials, I thought that there are substances that control bleeding, but they're very expensive for fighters, and so they're limited to the top end fighters. So this makes the same results available to all levels of fighters. So personally, I think it's a very interesting and possibly great thing. We just need to research a little bit more.
Commissioner Ayala?
Is this on? Can you hear it?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
So my first question is, in your summary here, you mentioned adrenaline, Avitine, Thrombin.
Yeah.
Are these all medications, meds, liquid medications, or what are these? And by the way, these are the California Code Regulations approved, as Vice Chair Levy mentioned. These are the approved that are a little bit more expensive. So I'm just trying to get a sense of what are these?
Adrenaline is, you get that from adrenaline 1000.
Vasoconstrictor.
Yeah.
It's a liquid.
So it is liquid, okay.
Yeah.
Avitine is also liquid?
Thrombin.
Avitine.
Avitines are, these are the materials that are approved by the commission. I've never saw Avitine used that I can remember in my fight career.
Does anyone know if it's a liquid or?
It can be a liquid or a powder.
It's powder?
It can be both, I think. I think thrombin and Avitine. Very, very, very rare. Both thrombin and Avitine are super rare.
And thrombin it comes from a pig. Thrombin comes from a pig. And something about pig, but again, it's like I never saw that either. I see adrenaline all the time, that's what I see. And apparently, which I've seen sketch with these things, I didn't know that's what it was, because, you know, for one thing, you know, I didn't ask you what it was. I thought it had a gremlin on it, but apparently it was this stuff. But I can call Stitch and ask him and get him to kind of talk me through this stuff. But yeah, I don't know much about any of these except gremlin. And when I was fixing cuts, that's what I used. I used the gremlin.
Okay, so I think maybe, as you just mentioned yourself, maybe more information on this for whenever the next follow-up meeting on this issue would be great. And maybe even well, you can't technically have a demonstration, but at least a soft demonstration where maybe somebody comes out and kind of gives us an idea of how these are applied during a fight when somebody is bleeding, just to kind of get a sense and compare this seems very practical. I mean, but honestly, I look at it and I'm not sure what the difference is between this and what I put on my kid when he or she has a cut, and put a Band-Aid over it or tape over it. So that's a very simple question that, you know, I know there's a lot of, there's what seems to be scientific explanation here, but maybe you can help us with that.
Sure, absolutely. This, in fact, is not a Band-Aid, in fact, a normal Band-Aid. You can tell that. How it works is the dark side. We call it the gel side. Yes, correct. That's the side that goes on the wound. All right, that's the side where that alginate is applied. And so when there's a cut, say they got a laceration on the face right here, they're gonna, as soon as that fighter comes and sits down, they're going to take that the dark side and they're just gonna press it on their wound. That's all they're gonna do. They're gonna hold it for 30 to 45 seconds. And as soon as that time's done, they just pull it off. It comes right off. There's no extra work necessary, and they can send the water directly back out. Because in that time, that's when the water can soak out of the blood and the clot forms, and it just becomes gelatinous, comes right off, and then they go back out to the fact it's that simple.
So basically this part is gel, and with the humidity and everything else, the water, everything that's going on, when you press it, it comes off onto the skin and clots the bleeding, so to speak.
Right. So all the platelets are going to form that clot eventually, you know, and so it just really reduces that time for that to happen.
The other question is, the recommendation here is a 6-month trial, but is that a cost to the commission, or is that just to allow Quick Aid to come in? Is there any kind of fee for that, for the business of providing this material?
No, Commissioner Aiello, we don't currently license cut, particularly cut men. We license seconds, of course, but cut men are almost like a different. I know some place we talked about licensing in the past informally, but yeah, I wish I knew more about exactly what they do to stop cuts. The only thing I ever have used is a grant, but it would be no cost to us. The promoters hire the cut men independently. They're the ones that stand beside the ring and they come in and get these boxing. A lot of times you'll have a cut man, like an informal cut man, like he is licensed with us at that time. He's a second. But he's part of the corner, and he just comes in and fixes it.
So Adam, well, we're happy to have you, and we are. We want to take information all the time. Did you contact the commission to ask to come to make the presentation? Is that what happened? Okay.
I contacted the commission.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Aiello?
Well, I mean, it seems like it seems at first glance very self-explanatory, but I think with respect to my colleagues on the commission wanting additional information, I think it would not hurt us to have additional information and maybe some, live soft demonstrations as to how all this works and how this may be able to impact. And Joe, I thought there were some good questions asked as to, the chart here we're looking at on in the presentation. I mean, one that's not into the fight game can assume that, for instance, John Jones here or Rashad Evans, a simple question would be like, well, and actually you kind of already answered it. You can't keep this on. So basically, let's say it's the round 2. You're coming out for round 3. You can't keep any kind of material on your skin, right? You got to take it off. You got to remove it. Mm-hmm. So again, you're explaining that whatever ingredients are in here are going to stick onto your skin. So I think it would be a wise thing to get information as to, okay, are there any side effects to that, post or during the fight, et cetera. I mean, you can answer the question now if you'd like, but I think these are all questions that are fair questions to be able to make an honest assessment as to whether or not, to even allow the trial period, which is 6 months, is what you're proposing, right? Those are my comments.
Dr. Williams?
Yeah, no, I would say from my standpoint, it seems like an option that would be beneficial. I think it seems like something that would help from the standpoint of safety, help from the standpoint of just logistically stopping bleeding more quickly, what have you. I would only be interested in verifying some of the information we have relative to approvals from other commissions, and then also finding out if there's a demand for it among people who are participating in our state. I don't have any other questions or worries about it. It seems like it's a fairly straightforward tool, and I think probably much easier to use than what we've already approved.
Commissioner Martin?
I was just gonna say, maybe you can just submit some of these approval letters so that we can see them, submit them to Andy, and otherwise, that's it.
I do.
Go ahead.
I say I do actually have them all planned out in my email ready for you guys because I know you guys probably want that. So I just give me your email address to send it to, and I'll
get
just
it out
immediately.
to the commission.
Actually, just one curiosity question. So why is it only Nevada and Georgia? I mean, I would think by now this would be all over the nation, right? If it's a successful product. Or are you working on California first?
Well, we've been having some back-end work we've been working on, and it's been delaying us actually pursuing going this. We're only just now making another push back out to get this approved in all states.
Okay. How long has the company been in business?
The company formed in 2009, and in 2013 is when we started to really bring it out to sports and stitch strand, and we've been doing a lot of back end work and distribution on other countries. We've been getting a lot of we've been pursuing a lot of things over there because of demand, and now we are pushing forward in the states.
Are you working with hospitals at all, or anything like that? Where
we are being used in various hospitals.
Emergency rooms?
Emergency rooms, well, I would say that we are being pursued to actually get approval, and for like a lot of things that they're going to want are different processes than we need here. So it's a class 1 medical device, so it's relatively simple, but those things are in progress, so we do have that demand.
How about the military?
It actually was tested in battlefield, and we are working in the military field to get those sorts of things. Obviously, the bureaucratic wheels for that are long and large, so I would expect something like that to be being used in short time.
Do you have like the test results or something that you can share with us?
I don't have them with me. I'd be happy, like I said, I'm going to submit more information to you guys. I'll be happy to go and look that information up and include it.
I think some of the military stuff is on your website.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you might find some stuff.
Yeah.
But.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of material on the internet about this, and it's obviously being marketed in Walmart and on Amazon and so forth. One of the interesting things in one of the sites of the company, it lists that its product has been approved by the Nevada Athletic Commission. So I think he's doing something that's quite smart. He's going out to get the major boxing commissions to approve it, because it's in the absence of the Pentagon buying it at this stage, that's where you go to sell it.
Right.
But they also have videos of its use and so forth. So those who want to follow up right away, there's material on the internet.
I just have to say one thing, I'm sorry. We talked about, the gel that's formed from the algae, and that remains, and that's what helps clot the blood naturally. I guess the concern I would have that distinguishes boxing from other uses is if the gel gets on the glove, and does the gel get into your opponent's eye? And so that is a concern. I think I would really want to know what it actually is left over, and
Can I just,
the results of that.
having used it, it doesn't actually, so having used it. So what happens is it just sort of congeals and then you just wipe it away. So it doesn't actually stay on your face. It's not like there's this gelatinous stuff on you. It just sort of coagulates and stops the blood, and then you just wipe it away, and then, you know, they put the Vaseline on, then it's just gone.
Right.
It's,
One question.
Yes, sir.
There's one question, it's for you, but I think it would be benefit for all commissioners. So, I fixed a lot of cuts in my life. And at the end of it, it's like Martha said, loaded up with Vaseline, okay? Loaded up with Vaseline to keep it from bleeding the next round. When the fighter comes back and sits down on that stool, there's probably some Vaseline still left there. Can you put this on there? I mean, does the Vaseline restrict, like, make a block this from stopping the cut? Or do you have to wipe it out? And that sometimes makes the cut worse. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to be very careful. And I'm just thinking, I'm just trying to think through it of the time in 50 seconds, because the last 10 is gone. How you can do it?
Well, what I can tell you is that it won't, as far as in a chemical sense, there's no thing to worry about there, because this can be used in topical ointments or topical creams or anything. So in terms of Vaseline, it's not going to cause any sort of conflict. As far as the barrier that's formed with the Vaseline, I would figure that the Vaseline is blocking anything. Whatever's reopened and is getting out of the Vaseline will simply close that area. It'll just stop that area in that moment in time.
Okay. Andy, you have made a recommendation, pretty specific, particularly considering it appears to be you're, I don't know, not as informed as you would otherwise be on the various approvals and activity and so on. Do you want to amend your recommendation, or you want to?
Yeah, I want more. I mean, look, I typically come in here and I know exactly what I'm talking about, everything involving combat sports, or at least know something about it. I don't know much about this. I've not saw it myself. I've never used it myself. You know, let me do some research. Let's let this man provide us some more stuff. I'm gonna go to an event where this is being used. I'm gonna see it. I like to feel it, hold it, and then I can bring you back a recommendation in December.
You're going to withdraw this recommendation for today?
Yes.
Okay. And you won't need any action from us other than we appreciate you coming, informing us. You've heard a lot of great questions, comments, issues, concerns, good and, curious, if you will. So please do work with Andy and Adam, and look forward to you guys coming back. And let me just tell you, if you're going to get an endorsement out of the California State Athletic Commission, it's going to take some work. And I am curious if you're still doing kind of experimenting in production, and you have this approval from Nevada 3 or 4 years ago, we'd like to know about that too.
Okay.
Okay, so, and we wish you all the best, of course.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
We're happy to support California businesses.
Yes, Orange County.
Love to hear it.
Be sure to give Andy
Oh,
some
I'm
samples
gonna
too.
do that too, of course. Absolutely. That's okay. That's what I'm here for today.
Okay. Discussion item number 9, agenda item number 9, concussion education for compliance with Assembly Bill 2007, concussion education and youth sports concussion management protocol. Mr. Foster.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, Assembly Bill 2007 went through. It's a concussion management protocol with education requirements for youth sports. Certainly worked with the delegated entities. We talked to them today already. We've all decided on the CDC's Heads Up Concussion Management Online webinar. I guess that would be, you take questions after each. I'll send it to everyone, back to the commissioners, where you can take it if you have time. It's very easy. It's like 45 minutes, maybe, something like that. So that's what we're doing. We're also providing, we're getting these flyers out. Dr. Williams, pocket flyer, about the concussion. we're getting the wallet cards. We're trying to get this stuff out there, even though this stuff doesn't technically affect adults, this builds for youth sports. Certainly, I want to make sure our delegated entities are in compliance. But at the same time, certainly don't think it's a bad idea for our referees to at least take the training for our adult fighters. Adult professional boxing and professional combat sports is certainly regulated a bit differently, significantly. I think that's a fair statement. More dangerous than the amateur sports. But I don't think it's a bad idea for them to have a training license.
Thank you. There's been a lot of discussion, good discussion about 2007 and concussion focus and attention on concussions. So commissioners, any further questions or comments about this? Okay, well, thank you, Andy, for keeping us very informed about this important legislation. And that will roll us into agenda item number 10, discussion and possible action regarding the CSAC informational brochure. And I assume, Andy, that it's this one. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. The one that has a trifold that says California world-class destination for combat sports. I asked Andy I've been pushing on him to put something out. I've made some comment myself on it. It's a work in progress, and it's now in front of you all. You can comment now, comment whenever you feel like, but the idea being something we talked about a while ago, getting this information out. To me, almost, not just to the promoters, these are business folks, they're probably paying attention to this kind of thing, but to the actual athletes, to let them know, what the benefits are for fighting here in California. So, commissioners, if you'd like to discuss it or provide additional comments, it's here or later.
What is
your
the
pleasure?
purpose of the information brochure? Who's the audience?
Well, I just tried to answer that. So it's the stakeholders, particularly and this is my personal opinion, athletes. So they can, as opposed to relying on promoters to decide which way to direct them, the athletes and their families and their people are getting direct information about California and our commission. That's that 2 cents.
I was hoping, and I would certainly defer to your judgment on this. I think it would be an interesting thing for the commission to do a brochure about the phenomenal success of boxing and other competition in California and send it off to the media, the promoters, the whomever, and the whomever. I think we should do something that celebrates the success of the sports here in California and California's appreciation of all those individuals and organizations which do take advantage of the opportunities made available here through this commission. I'd like to see a selling brochure. Now, maybe it's not practical and maybe it's not desirable, but it would be, we're sort of silent. And I think it'd be interesting to start getting a horn we can occasionally blow.
Right, and also, other than Golden One Center maybe, these are arenas that everyone sort of knows about, but there are arenas that they don't know about that are available. I would really like to add those, like the Anaheim.
Honda Center.
Yeah, and
Well, that's there.
the Angels of Anaheim, the
Angel Stadium.
Yeah, Angel Stadium and Coliseum and Rose Bowl, the huge ones that are available. And when a televised pay-per-view event, and they don't happen often, unfortunately, but when one happens in California, somehow, simply because it does happen in California, you get that a much larger hit than when they happen in some other states, for whatever reason. And we do have some of those statistics.
Hit, you mean
Pay-per-view hits.
benefit?
A buy?
Benefits.
The buy.
The buys.
Okay.
And even without, when it's not a pay-per-view, when it's just televised, you know, based on the statistics, you will get more people watching. And we do have those statistics. Maybe we can put some of that in there.
We can do whatever you want. I will say to you though, as
We only have this much paper.
well, you've got that, you've got the wheels of government and how slowly they move and the restriction on resources. The amount of effort it took to produce this, Andy, and the time. So, you know, while I understand what Commissioner Sauer is saying, to actually drill that down into actually getting something done, which is what I always try to do, at least we have something now that you guys can look at and say, yeah, you know, I'd like to add the stadiums, I'd like this, I'd like that.
Can we go outside?
Well, you can do whatever you want, but we sure would like to have something, and then we can always build on that, was the idea. Commissioner Ayala just pointed out to me that he really likes the comparison of the fees. That's a great selling point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of what stands out to me is exactly that. If I'm a promoter, if I'm somebody in the fight game or the fight business that's trying to figure out how to,
But they already know this.
how to get out the most out of my. I mean, this is something that I would focus on. But I will point out that if you look at the back where it says Hollywood, it says dollars and cents. Staging a fight in California makes good fun, etc. It says the TV below. So I'm not sure if you meant to have that like over the other side.
Yeah.
But obviously I know this is a draft, so I mean all these things, all these little details can be looked at later. But I think the focus, and actually, you and I have had conversations in the past where, you know, when we're trying to get our state legislators, our governor to promote these kinds of things, this is the kind of thing that we ought to be promoting, right? Come to California for X, Y, Z reasons. And so, again, to me, that stands out. I think all of the other stuff, even though it's obvious, as some folks have pointed out, which is like the weather and everything else, I think it deserves to be mentioned.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Martha. And I know you're about to say something, but it may for folks like you that are experts in this industry. Yeah, and you know a lot of people that know this, but if you were to ask any of the big five legislators right now, including the governor, do you know that we have competitive fees? You're not going to know.
No,
So we can arm them and arm others with this information.
No, you're right.
Be helpful.
No, you're right. I'm just saying the promoters know this because Andy and I put this on a grid and sent it out.
Yeah, the promoters are, they're the business people, folks. It's their job to know, but we're trying to do more outreach, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I like this grid. I like this grid. I'm saying there's, you know, when you have a big fighter, you know, like a Canelo or whatever, they're gonna think about the big stadiums. They're gonna think about the, you know, the TV buys. They're gonna think, you know, and so we want to be able to reach those too.
So that's two great points: pay-per-view information, the stadiums. Whatever else, yeah, so that's why it's here for you.
Maybe a way to
better.
Maybe a way to think about it is if you're a kingmaker and you're trying to have your event at the best of the best, what is it? And then kind of build from there. And do we have something comparable in California? So if it's New York, whatever it may be, Madison Square Garden or what have you, I mean, how many seats does that hold? What's the potential revenue making there, et cetera? And then just kind of work from there and compare that to whatever is similar in California and promote it. I don't know if it's Staples Center or anything else. I don't know enough about the fight business myself, but maybe just kind of look at it that way.
Maybe your point is made with the comments about K2, how many times they've filled up StubHub, right? Say something, I've said something like that. That's real time
Broke the record.
Facts, yeah, it's factual, good outreach information.
Well, I'd like to say, I really like the brochure.
Yes.
And I definitely appreciate what you're saying is that, you know, obviously a lot of work went into this, a lot of thought, and it's put together and it's something to distribute now. We can, you know, make it better. Yeah, but I think it's an excellent idea and it's an excellent brochure, and maybe to the extent that we want to make some changes, let's make like a deadline. You know, it's got to be final like in a month or something, because we've got to be ready to roll with this January 2017.
Great, that's
and
great.
then we can
Thank you.
tweak
Yes.
it later.
Is there anything that prevents you from having a well-known fighter here? And, I mean, I don't know if there's, it may help in terms of promotion, or at least
Probably have to pay.
taking a double look.
Counselor?
Just saying.
Cost.
I mean,
I'll be your poster girl.
Oh, there you go. All right. I like it.
what, I mean, would it be okay to ask, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of fathers that would love to do it for us.
Maybe they should pay us to be on our brochure.
It's advertising.
Well, that was my point to Adam, right? If you're asking for an endorsement from this commission, you better bring it. I mean, that could make their business. So, yeah, why not, Andy? I mean, why not ask and see what response you get?
Yeah,
I mean, you know Rhonda.
I do. I
Not
mean,
suggesting
I'm not
Yeah,
wrong,
yeah.
of course, but, I mean, but I was thinking, you know, I mean, we've got quite a few choices, but, you know, Lofton certainly lives here.
Triple G and Oscar, and everyone knows
Oscar.
his face. Yeah,
Yeah, and he's very affiliated with
Right.
California.
right. Good idea, all good ideas. So, you've got them down, Andy? So if you heard Vice Chair Lehman say, maybe we could ask the commissioners to get their comments in and have something that we'd like to start distributing for next year.
Okay.
Give you
Yeah, I
time to
mean, we
make
can
some
do a
stuff.
bigger brochure also, but, you know, but I also like that.
I'd like,
Trifold.
let's have a pocket thing.
Yeah.
That literally the governor could be shown and say, and he could have some quick facts at his fingertips. For example, if somebody were to ask him, he could say, yeah, you know, hey, we're competitive in fees, we've got this, we've got that.
And, you know, I know you and I and Commissioner Ayala and I worked on this together. I was sitting in San Jose at the airport doing the weigh-in, and he and I were talking. I was jotting stuff down, and one thing that I kind of got from that conversation was he's like, look, what can I take a senator, show him in 60 seconds, or, you know, because they're very busy, that he can remember.
Right.
And that's sort of
Make
what I
him
was-
conversant, so when somebody says it, it comes up, he can say, hey, here's why I should bring your fight here.
We know about our, you know, we know about the fight business, kind of the,
Right.
but some people might not.
No, they don't.
You know, and I think it would be very effective if we went just beyond the fighters. I think we should get the mayor to say something about the joy the city has with fights being done here. And I think we should also get the brochure underwritten by some humanitarian in the larger society, or we'll go sell flowers on street corners. So we're not using the state money to promote ourselves, that supporters of the commission and boxing in California are underwriting the cost. No cost to the taxpayer, I think, is pretty important to this. But, you know, I think we should, I think I'll guarantee you the people in the state legislature know nothing about the success that's being enjoyed in California now. And I'll guarantee you the mayor's office here knows nothing about it, let alone the mayors in other cities across the state.
Well, I would beg to differ about the legislature. I think they've done a good job, not all the way there yet on getting some good support there.
Well, it'd be great, if nothing else, to have a lead behind that spoke
Yes.
to it.
Exactly.
Chairman,
Commissioner Fires.
one of the things I had mentioned this to Andy for not too long ago. We have a sports writer for boxing. What's his last name again?
Pugmire, sir.
Speak up.
Pugmire, sir.
Yeah.
Lance Pugmire.
Okay. He has been getting a lot of play in the Times. A lot of people don't read it, but it's a lot of play almost every week, whole pages of what's going on in the boxing world, not just who's fighting who. And I was mentioning it to him. I said, now, somebody in the Times must have said, okay, we got football, we got basketball, let's put boxing. And they've been doing a lot of play on it.
Yeah.
So what's coming up about promoting boxing is absolutely right. And we should coattail on that kind of thing. Like you say, the mayor's office and different people, they don't know anything about anything.
It's the most boxing coverage I have ever seen in the LA Times.
Have you? Yeah.
It's just astounding, the volume. And I don't know the guy. Does anybody in this room know the guy?
You know it well. I certainly.
I'd love to go meet him. I think we should.
You should.
He should become our new best friend.
Well, we invited him to lunch a couple times, didn't we?
Yes, and he came out to our big weigh-in.
You have to speak up, we can't hear you.
Yeah, he came out to our big weigh-in. He said, we'll see him again. Oh, I set us a meeting up.
Yeah, let's go have lunch. I mean, let's get some. Let's start making him our new best friend.
Yeah, great.
I mean, and I don't know who the other writers are in this state, but I think a group of us should say we'll go out and buy these people lunches or dinners and become friends.
Sure.
And I think that's part of a strategy. I think you need to develop a concept of what we on this commission can be doing individually or collectively to spread the value of this commission to people of consequence to us across the state. I must say, the governor even was recently talking about how well the commission was doing. Not because of anything I said to him or provoked out of him, but an intermediary said that as they were looking. And I just think the more we can go spread the word, the better.
Hear, hear. Good. Anything else on this item, Commissioners? I think, Andy, you have some direction from us. Great progress.
Have a deadline to get our suggested revisions to Andy by Tuesday next week. So we can get like a final for our meeting in December and approve it then.
Does that work for everyone?
Do we have a date for our meeting in December?
Yes, it's on the bottom of your agenda. Does that work? So, okay, how about a week from now, Commissioners? By then, please get Andy your, I know you've taken notes. Is there anything additional? And then we'd like to see maybe the latest, hopefully it's a go-to version in December meeting. And we'll be up there in the Capitol, right? So we can give some out, and it'd be great.
You're going to see if we can get some poster person.
Yes, ma'am.
So we can fit a couple in there. They can underwrite the brochure.
Okay.
Just throw that out there.
Where are we going to meet in Sacramento?
I think at the Capitol again, if that works for everyone.
In the state capitol?
Yes, sir. One of the hearing rooms.
That room that we met at last.
Yeah, that committee room is nice. Okay. Well, that was agenda item number 12. So let's finish up on number 12. The next meeting is scheduled for December 16th. The Sacramento, it'll be in the Capitol, and you'll let us know the room number. I'll get back to 11. I can move around maybe, since we were talking about it. So any comments about that day in Sacramento? And of course, Commissioners, to remind you, the next day are two big fights. One there in Sacramento, UFC, and one down here at Forum. So,
Is 3 o'clock the right time? I think I saw 3 o'clock. Is that the time it begins, the event, the UFC event?
UFC event, not the
that sounds right.
Okay. Just trying to plan ahead in terms of lights and all that.
Yeah.
What's the Sacramento event?
The UFC, sir.
And it's at 3 o'clock?
The next day.
The next day,
yeah.
They start the early rounds. Fights start at 3.
It's probably the undercard, and then they, I would imagine they go prelims at 7. I'm talking about East Coast, and then live at 8.
So 5 live at 5, and it's night. Is it sleep train? I was going to say night train. Sleep train. Is it the Sleep Train Arena?
No, sir, it's the new golden one.
Oh, it's the new golden one, excellent, all right.
Downtown.
I haven't been there yet, so.
Yeah, that'll be fun, all right.
No.
I think I've been warned since I traveled to Sacramento a lot, commissioners, if you don't have a hotel room already, if you're gonna stay, you better get one ASAP because the new arena is attracting a lot of folks to downtown.
We can, an office can certainly help you with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just let us know and we'll book it for you.
Okay, any comments about agenda item 12? Yes, we'll stay with Andy, with the student babies. Agenda item 12, any public comment? Thank you. Okay, then we'll go back to agenda item number 11, which is public comment on items not on the agenda. We welcome anyone to come up here. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I just, I'm not asking for a response, but I'm just bringing this to the commissioner's attention because this didn't make the agenda, and I didn't have my thoughts together, but you guys need to be aware. I spoke to Dr. Williams, Mr. Commissioner, I didn't know about it honestly, but something's going to have to be done further with mixed martial arts, weigh-ins and weight cutting. Okay, we've taken some good steps, more needs to be done. Fighters are showing up grossly overweight, and I'm looking at some changes to our CSAC battle agreement that you guys will be seeing in the future with the chairman's permission. Possibly steps that this commission can take to lead the way to make sure that fighters are not paying to be larger, but paying to be the bigger fighter. A 20% fine on your show money, because MMA is set up differently than boxing, is a good investment if you can be that much larger than your opponent. And that makes some sense to me to do that. And I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening, but if you're coming in 6-7 pounds heavier than your opponent on weigh-in day, and you miss the weight class by 6-7 pounds, and you're 30 pounds bigger than him the next day, you know, that's something we need to look at.
It's a safety issue.
And I think that the way we look at it, we've done a regulatory function, but the way this commission needs to approach it is now from a monetary perspective. How can we, and I'm going to have some language to look at, but in the legal office are working on it, where we can get you something that's solid, it's going through the legal channels, where you'll have something that's been vetted before you look at it. That's all I'll say, sir.
Anything else? Commissioners? If you are then prepared, I will. Yes, sir. Let's see.
May I make a suggestion that Louis over here, who's in charge of our electronics, be either authorized or ordered, because I'm sure somebody's sitting on everything he does somewhere in the State House. We need him to have a mic around his head all through this meeting so that it's always right in front of his mouth. And I mean, I just think we need to get a better acoustical system, because either that or we're going to have to get a goddamn speech guy in here that he and I can understand.
What did you have for lunch, Commissioner, sir?
No, seriously. Seriously.
Yes, sir.
I always say, I know I don't hear as well, but I think that everybody should be using their playground teachers' voices. Everybody talks to themselves. And no, seriously.
That's right.
I've
How many times did I ask Andy to
where everybody talks to themselves instead of screaming out and tell, because we get people sitting way back there, and I know darn well they can't hear a word we're saying. I know that.
And we should have a stand-up mic down here so that when somebody comes to talk, he's not taking a mic and handing it to somebody. They stand there and talk into their mic. He still has an active mic. I mean, I just think there's, if we give him the authorization, I think we can do, or somebody gives him the authorization, we need a better sound system.
Okay. Anything else, Commissioner?
Move adjourned.
I move to adjourn. We have a move to adjourn. Move to adjourn a second. We are adjourned.